provide dollars for this.
However, State Representative Brad Holbrook yesterday said he's concerned about the increased taxpayer burden. Pritzker was given the ability to shift around money, he says.
The governor's on a spending spree. He's allowed to move double the amount of money than anybody in the previous history. And so this is just going to put more and more pressure on taxpayers. Now, they'll argue the point that revenues are increasing, but at some point in time, there's a tipping point here.
The additional $160 million investment announced earlier this month will come from the Illinois Department of Human Services budget. 2 men are charged in the shooting of a Bedford Park police officer this past weekend. Surveillance footage showed 2 running from a wrecked car at a gas station in the 6800 block of South Archer Road. One of the suspects shot an officer, leaving him hospitalized. Police arrested Raul Perez and Luis Gonzalez. A former all-conference basketball player has been reinstated to the Hinsdale South high school basketball team after his mother filed a federal lawsuit. Brendan Savage's mom sued the school district last week after he was cut from the team after tryouts. Sue claims Hinsdale South boys basketball coach Michael Belcaster cut the player in retaliation for a bullying complaint against a previous coach. The school reinstated Brendan to the team yesterday. Governor Pritzker and IDOT are celebrating the completion of a series of multi-year improvements along I-57. The upgrades cost taxpayers just over $82 million. In a blow to the state's economy, U.S. Steel has announced it will shut down the Granite City Works plant indefinitely. As part of the decision, the company issued about 1,000 employees notices they could be laid off and said it anticipated about 60% of those union jobs would likely be lost entirely. The move comes 2 months after U.S. Steel temporarily idled a furnace in response to the now resolved UAW strike. Former Bears return specialist Devin Hester is now among the 25 semifinalists for this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame class. The group will be reduced to 15 near the Super Bowl. Chicago sports. Bulls blasted by Boston 124-97. Blackhawks got back in the win column with a 4-3 victory over Seattle. Corey Perry's short time with the Blackhawks coming to an end. The team waived the forward yesterday, announcing he will be released. Chicago citing inappropriate and unacceptable conduct by Perry as reason for the move. David Braun wins both Big Ten Coach of the Year awards yesterday from the coaches and the media members. College hoops last night, Notre Dame struggled from the field in a 65-53 loss to South Carolina. In other college basketball action yesterday, Loyola beat Chicago State 62-53. Tonight, Bradley will take on Murray State, and Valpo will battle Drake. The news, a service of Boost Infinite. Boost Infinite's new wireless technology switches between networks, giving you the best service at a lower price. Call 855-55-BOOST. Visit boostinfinite.com or go to amazon.com and search for the Boost iPhone 15. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted, and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran, Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
In the heart of Bedford Falls, one man faced incredible challenges in his business journey. George Bailey, a humble banker, knew that success often comes hand in hand with adversity. But George wasn't alone in his struggle. He discovered the power of resilience, innovation, friends, and community. Like George, your business may face obstacles, financial setbacks, fierce competition, IT nightmares, or unforeseen crises. But remember, it's not about the challenges you face. It's about how you overcome them. At Turnkey, we understand the George Bailey spirit. We're here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Whether you're a small-town bank, distributor, manufacturer, or a cutting-edge startup, we believe that every business has the potential to thrive. Together, we'll build a bridge to your success, just like George Bailey did in Bedford Falls. Join us at Turnkey. Let's write your own It's a Wonderful Business Life. Because like George, your dreams are worth it. Start a conversation today by visiting turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
510 on AM 560, The Answer. Let's go into the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. This morning, nothing serious in your way except the cold temperatures and icy conditions in some areas. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are off on time. CTA Yellow Line service is still suspended. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist Steve Williams.
Sunshine today, the high 40, clear to partly cloudy, some patchy fog late tonight, low 32. Patchy fog tomorrow morning, a cloudy day, high 47. Periods of rain Friday morning, otherwise clouds, the high Friday at 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Right now, 26 degrees at O'Hare, at Midway 27, Aurora 21. It's 26 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. And Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
There's no ignoring it. Americans know they've been lied to by the ruling class, that politicians want more control over their lives and more taxes for nonsense. Who voted for this, and how do we get back to normal? It starts by being informed. But who do you trust when the media censors information and colludes with those in charge for their own political power? Breakthrough Ideas is a beacon of clarity in the storm of politics. At Breakthrough, Jeannie Ives and her team follows the legislation and the money and reports back to you so you know who's on your side. Elections matter. Be an informed voter. You can do that by listening to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. right here on AM 560. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com to sign up for the newsletter, register for upcoming events, and stay informed with fresh content. Then connect with them on social media and share information with others. So together, we vote out the radicals and vote in common sense. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Calling all Patriots! Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me on the Patriots Alaska Cruise in June 2024. We'll dive deep into geopolitical trends and unpack the influences shaping the world today. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with me and other Patriots on an epic 7-day journey. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join us from June 29th to July 6, 2024. Book online, patriotsalaskacruise.com.
If you're age 59 and a half or older with a 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Wealth Management Group today at 833-WMG-PLAN. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can help save you thousands in 401k fees and potentially reduce your risk of a market correction. You've worked and saved, and now is the time to manage your retirement savings. Call Craig Bolanos of Wealth Management Group today at 833-WMG-PLAN. Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem. We'll ship a kit to you. It's so fast and simple to use, with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
Every year, millions of people find a health plan at healthcare.gov during open enrollment. They enjoy more doctor visits, pick up prescriptions, and find the care they need. With the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 a month or less with financial help. Enroll by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Healthcare.gov is here for millions like you, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. BLM Brandon held a presser yesterday to unveil the new Unity initiative in the city that's being led, I guess, by faith-based institutions, churches.
Yeah,
more than a dozen churches partnering with the city to provide shelter for migrants per $350,000 in private donor money that this consortium received. And he was asked, do you want to place limits on the flow of migrants from other cities and states? Would you want to place any limits on that? That was the question.
Normal.
And it prompted this response.
Well, it has to be better coordination. What we've seen is a very raggedy form instituted by right-wing extremism. Everyone knows that the right-wing extremism in this country has targeted democratically ran cities. And quite frankly, they've been very intentional about going after democratically ran cities that are led by people of color. And their whole motivation is to create disruption and chaos, because that's what that particular party has been about. Right? This is the same political party that did not want to accept that President Obama was actually an American. It's the same Republican right-wing extremism that stormed the Capitol. It's the same right-wing extremism that refuses to accept the results of the Civil War. It's raggedy. It's disrespectful. It's mean-spirited. It's an unclean spirit, quite frankly. And so I got you. I just want to make sure that people understand what we're facing. That's why it's so important that the faith community is leaning in this moment. And so what I've said, there has to be better coordination. It is abysmal, and it's an affront for everything that is good about this country, for the extremism in this country to use people as political tools to settle political scores for something that happened 400 years ago. They're still mad that a black man is free in this country.
312.
Unclean spirits be gone.
312.
Out, unclean spirits.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. There's so much to unpack there, Dan. I don't even know. I mean, does he know that Democrats were the ones who didn't accept the Civil War outcome, first of all? And I know we're in MAGA country. I don't know where the Ascendario brothers are right now, but we'll track him down to make sure. But clearly, Brandon Johnson is now on the Democratic email blast list that people, like Pritzker and Governor Newsom have been getting for years. So he made the list.
This is just an extension of the race hustle that Lightfoot played before him. It's just one race hustler after another. The original question, would you want to place some limits on the flow of migrants from other cities and states? Yeah. So is that a no? Is that a yes? Can I just get an answer to the question? Yeah, I got it. Republicans in far-off places don't accept the results of the Civil War, are upset that you're a free black man, and so on and so forth. But anyway, could you answer my question? That's how it has to be treated. I mean, there's no point in the moral indignation. It is so beyond silly that it really doesn't merit comment. The best thing that you could do, if you remember the press corps, is just return to the question. So yes, no,
Do you have a number?
Because it is interesting. I mean, I'm just trying to get your policy views down. I understand what your views are of people who disagree with you. I got that. But what is your policy view? What is your policy position? Should Chicago continue to accept any and all who come from anywhere, anytime? Is that the policy? Or is the policy that you would like to coordinate better, euphemism, with these with places that are moving people who want to go to Chicago up to Chicago? Does that mean limit? Does that mean you'd like to do what is actually being done, which is move people from Chicago to other places? The same thing that Governors Abbott and DeSantis did that you decried, and now you and Pritzker are in the business of doing the same thing. I'm just trying to get the philosophy behind the policy down here. Right? I mean, the whole, you really want to respond, spend time doing chapter and verse on American history with BLM Brandon. You really want to address the raggedy, creating chaos. I mean, I see all the responses. The Republicans don't have any power in Chicago and haven't in 100. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you think this is a discussion on the merits?
No, he's just
with this guy?
race-baiting lunatic. It pisses me off, though, when I saw it. I'm like, come on, just stop. And he's so cocky, and he's just so in over his head. And the fact that they voted him in just still makes me sick to my stomach.
He knows what works, and that's what everybody in Chicago knows. And so why wouldn't you continue using what you think works until it's made clear that it doesn't?
Because I think the Democrats are getting scared. I mean, if they're this line of bull jive. I mean, the migrant crisis is his fault since they wanted to be a sanctuary city.
What are they afraid of?
I think
they're getting scared. What are they afraid of?
I just think more black people are talking up about Biden. They don't like his policy. I mean, Cardi B made a video for the love of God.
But what does that have to do with Brandon Johnson? I mean, yeah, he wants a Democrat in the White House, but he's not running scared in Chicago. Nobody's running scared in Chicago.
Level, I just think that they're
concerned. Yeah, but national level is not his concern. His concern is city and state level.
Yeah, but he gets they're all the same talking points. Right-wing extremism is the reason for this, and the white man's trying to take down black-run democratic cities.
I know what the talking point is. What I'm unclear of is why you think that Brandon Johnson is afraid of something. What's he afraid of?
The tides are turning. I think that he's afraid of Trump, and he has been told. This is conjecture on my part. He has been told, like other black Democrats who are running cities, to hammer home MAGA country, right-wing extremism is bad, and it's here. And
yeah, but that's not him being afraid. That's him scaremongering for the purpose of advancing the interests of his party. That's not being afraid. The whole thing, like I'm doing this out of fear, is very different than I'm doing this as part of a purposeful strategy. That's why you have to defend this idea that somebody's running scared here, as opposed to executing something in a purposeful manner. Greg in Hyde Park, here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, good people. As a black man, born and raised here in Chicago, it's frankly embarrassing that there seems to be no will to learn the truth. The Democrats have had their way with black people since FDR. And to see that we have come so far and yet have no idea that we as a people are being exploited. Useful pawns, I could use a stronger word, but useful pawns for the Democrat Party. Anybody with half a brain knows that it was a Democrat Party that was willing to die to keep black people enslaved. And now we vote for them? Really? Thank you for your time.
Well, Greg, hey, hold on a second. Let me ask you a question. What do you think Brandon Johnson is doing, and why he's doing it?
I think he's a useful idiot. He's a pawn. He's been positioned as a gatekeeper for the Democrat Party. None of this makes sense. And when you politicize common sense, you get stupid. And his response to that question, there's no other way to look at that answer as being stupid.
Good analysis. Thanks for the call, Greg. I like that. When you politicize common sense, you get stupid. That's a T-shirt worthy phrase.
That's the quote of the day, right?
Jordan in Forest Park.
Yeah, governing is hard. It's hard, and he's realizing now this is really hard. So he went back to a campaign rhetoric speech. It was a campaign speech. That's what I thought. That's what I heard. As mayor of Chicago, this migrant crisis and what, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's criticism of my policies that are causing the problem. And this AM 560, The Answer. Your show is causing my problems as the mayor of Chicago. You have to stop. This is what this was all. That's what this was all about. It was deflection. It's not my fault.
Right. Thanks for the call, Jordan. Right. This is outside agitators instigating chaos. That's the line of attack. So we're being besieged, and this is a rally around the flag moment. I mean, that's the political positioning, of course.
Right. While he's begging for funds and help from local churches.
Karen and Beecher.
Paging Frank from Arlington Heights for a personal history lesson for BLM Brandon. Paging, I mean, how many times do I got to do it? And Dan, I think the reason I'm kind of sort of thinking he's a little bit like Joe Biden. He don't know what he's doing. He's just reading from the script of Tony Preckwinkle and every other button pusher, puppet master in the city of Chicago.
Thanks for the call,
Yeah,
Karen.
we got tons of text messages. Here's one. Dan and Amy, that was the word salad of word salads from a former CPS teacher. He's reaching for every excuse for his own failures.
Well, don't forget, he wasn't really big on homework. Probably because
that's right, or testing.
he didn't want to have to grade it. Coming up at 5:38, we've got to revisit some developments and a couple of sports and politics stories we had yesterday. We'll do that at 5:38.
Yeah, somebody hit the hardwood. And also, did anybody else check out the first ladies at Rosalind Carter's funeral? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Outside this morning, we have 24 degrees. And the Pentagon says a U.S. military V-22 Osprey has crashed into the sea off the west coast of Japan with 8 on board.
A spokesperson for the U.S. Coast Guard says patrol boats and an aircraft have been deployed to the ocean waters off Japan's Yakushima Island. Witnesses say the aircraft's left engine appeared to be on fire as it descended. The Osprey is the primary assault support aircraft for the U.S. Marine Corps, which can take off vertically and land like a jet. I'm Phil Farrar.
At least one death has been reported. Fishermen in the area say a number of people have been found in the water, but their conditions this morning are unknown. 12 more hostages have been released by Hamas. It's all part of an extended pause in the fighting with Israel. Yesterday's swap came after a temporary pause was extended by an additional 2 days. In exchange, 30 additional Palestinian detainees were released as well. The University of California, Berkeley is facing a lawsuit accusing the school of failing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism on campus. The Brandeis Center for Human Rights Under Law filed that suit in federal court Tuesday. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter will be buried in her hometown of Plains in southern Georgia today. The private service and burial follows the tribute service yesterday at a church on campus at Atlanta's Emory University. The NYPD this morning says they're preparing for potential protest during the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting ceremony tonight. Pro-Palestinian organizers have posted on social media for their supporters to flood that ceremony. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke are getting a chance to hear secret recordings by FBI mole and former Alderman Danny Solis. Mayor Johnson is unveiling a plan to move some illegal migrants from police stations into churches.
A diverse, intergenerational, interracial, interfaith coalition of communities coming together to help those in need.
The mayor was joined by a few faith leaders yesterday. The program will relocate some of those migrants into 17 churches. The program, according to the mayor, will be funded by $350,000 in private donations. 2 men are charged in the shooting of a Bedford Park police officer this past weekend. Police have arrested Raul Perez and Luis Gonzalez. Former Bears return specialist Devin Hester is now among the 25 semifinalists for this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame class. The Bulls were beaten by the Celtics 124-97. Blackhawks in the win column with a 4-3 victory over the Kraken at the UC. Cody Bellinger and Liam Hendricks both honored for their 2023 work on the diamond here in Chicago. Bellinger and Hendricks winning Comeback Player of the Year in the National and the American League. The news, a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. The Answer. It's 5:33. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago this Christmas season on their spectacular annual holiday tour. And AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
Have you noticed cracked or sinking concrete around your home, driveways, sidewalks, garage floors, or patios? In addition to looking bad, cracked or sinking concrete causes an uneven surface that poses a safety hazard. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Would you like to fix the problem without replacing the concrete? We have the solution for you. Permaseal polylevel foam can be injected beneath concrete surfaces, leveling and preventing future settlement. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL for a free evaluation. The polylevel process is done with minimal disruption, quickly and at a fraction of the cost of concrete replacement. And unlike traditional mud jacking methods, polylevel foam is lightweight so it doesn't add additional weight to the area. Polylevel is the most durable and cosmetically appealing solution to your cracked or sinking concrete. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-SEAL or visit permaseal.net.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Immerse yourself in premium nationwide coverage, contract-free plans, and always-free activation with Consumer Cellular, now at your local Target. While you're there, check out our newest phone, the Iris Flip. It's all the phone and camera you need, plus it features a user-friendly design, making it the perfect flip phone. From now to December 16th, you can score $10 off when you buy the Consumer Cellular Iris Flip at Target, making it only $39.99. Visit your nearest Target for the full scoop.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
It is 5:37, and let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time this morning finds the South Shore line with service interrupted this morning there because of signals not operating correctly. Delays up to 30 minutes this morning. On the Bishop Ford, jammed into the Ryan Merge. Dan Ryan Express lane slows up inbound between Pershing and the Stevenson. And the Stevenson with early delays, 30 minutes in from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. This morning, mostly sunny, not as cold. We'll have a high near 40 degrees. Currently 26. Your next news is at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Two stories we poured over yesterday that experienced some developments after our program yesterday. That was Hinsdale South, the basketball player whose mom sued the school to have him reinstated after he was caught, and that Kansas City Chiefs fan that was targeted by a Deadspin goof for,
Karen,
quote-unquote, wearing blackface to the Chiefs game. So let's start with Hinsdale South and the story of Brendan Savage. The story is mom sued the school district, and, of course, on advice of counsel, the school district relented and has reinstated Brendan Savage on the men's basketball team there.
Yeah, and last night when they played Glenbard South, he was sitting behind the players. Actually, he looked like a water boy, and he looks like a man compared to kids on the bench if you saw the video.
Take it easy, Mrs. Robinson.
Well, I mean, give me a break. So, and half the crowd was wearing "We Want Savage Back" T-shirts. So his mom, Erin, they spoke to Channel 5 yesterday, and they have, 6 kids, and they played 31 varsity sports, and this kid was all conference sophomore year, junior year. I found out through people that he's a juggernaut. I mean, when other people and the teams in the conference found out he didn't make the team, they were shocked because, again, he scored 37 points against Proviso last year. So,
35,
here's,
but who's counting?
Okay, there you go.
This was just eye-opening, like, what's going on? This didn't make sense. It was substantiated. They did find that he was didn't measure up to the high standards of the district, which doesn't explain why he's still allowed to coach at any level.
So that they're talking about Coach Morietti, last year's varsity coach, who apparently was bullying this kid Savage, and the parents filed a complaint.
Not apparently, allegedly, and they did not substantiate the coach for quote-unquote bullying, but they, in their mealy-mouthed way that a Hinsdale school district would do it, said, well, we'll give you he didn't live up to the high professional standards we set for our staff. And so he's demoted, apparently, and then Belcaster, the current varsity coach, is instituted, and Belcaster is the one who cut Savage.
Right.
And the argument is that was it. So let's just get our facts straight. And so the argument is that was in retaliation for the parents filing the complaint against the previous coach.
Right. But they were told, and they have a letter stating that there would be no retaliation.
We have a letter from the superintendent from last year stating there will be no retaliation. It won't be tolerated. And yet there was no other explanation, particularly after we talked to the coach.
It's clear that this was retaliation. The coach from last year is getting the last word on this. There's no doubt about it, especially when you can't give a reason.
Well, excuse me, if I can get in here with the hyperventilating going on. What was the conversation with the coach then, if they spoke with him?
I don't know.
What did the coach say? Oh, we don't know because NBC5 doesn't ask the obvious follow-up question. We spoke with the coach, really? Well, what was that conversation like? What did he say? Clearly it was retaliation based on what? What more do we know about this situation than we knew yesterday when we talked about this in terms of the relationship going on?
I don't know what the exact allegation is of abuse, but the dad is now saying that as a coach you can't abuse your power and take it out on my son when we have this letter saying that you're not going to retaliate.
You can't abuse your power as a coach and a teacher and harass, bully, retaliate against kids. That just can't be tolerated. You can't do that and not have a consequence. It's not fair to the kids that might be coming through Hinsdale South in the future. That coach needs to be removed.
We're doing it for the future of Hinsdale South basketball. Okay, sure. What was the evidence of retaliation?
We do not know. No one is disclosing that.
Oh, and so he's allowed to say, and then we were just supposed to repeat what he said, but we don't have to. Okay, so So he's there. What relationship did he have with Belcaster? What relationship did he have with Moretti, including after the incident? And then so what happened? How do you know it was retaliation? You're making an allegation, but that has to be substantiated.
From what
I guess
heard
it
from
doesn't.
my sources,
I guess it
that
doesn't.
It's a toxic coaching community.
What does that mean?
Hinsdale South.
What does that mean? Your sources, toxic. Just more fun words to throw out to describe things generally, so we don't have to we don't have to present specific findings. Toxic.
Do you want to know what a jagbag Coach Belcaster is?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so yesterday there's two reporters, one from the Sun-Times and another name, Michael O'Brien. They both talked to him after the game, like, common questions, because he didn't play yesterday. He was dishing out high fives and, being a good team bench player or whatever. Wasn't in uniform. So they said, how are you going to integrate him into the team for Friday night's game against Downers Grove South? He cups his ears down like a little bit, cups his ears like,
I read
what?
the Sun-Times story.
Leans in. I can't hear you. What?
What happened to your
can't hear you.
sources? What happened to your sources? I read the Sun-Times story. Yeah, I read that too. So what?
Come on.
Come on what?
And then you have another reporter asking another question. He's like, I can't hear you.
on.
And then he walks away.
So maybe he doesn't think he's going to be treated fairly by reporters. Maybe he doesn't want to say anything on the record because of the litigious environment in the school. Maybe he should have said something to that effect. I don't know. But I still that still doesn't tell me anything about the underlying facts in this case, does it?
I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened. What was this toxic culture of
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're celebrating that he's back on. Let's be honest about what you're doing. You're celebrating that he's back on this team because the players and some of the kids at the school wore T-shirts and mom and dad said it was retaliatory, and this unnamed source you had said it's a toxic environment. And so you're not trying to find out anything. You're celebrating the outcome, and you're suggesting that the coaches are bullying or worse the players at Hinsdale South, both the previous one and the current one. That's what you're actually doing.
Celebrating that an accomplished athlete who was on varsity and started as a sophomore and junior is back playing basketball, back doing what he loves.
But you have no idea what the underlying relationship is or the
I make
facts
phone
are.
calls. I'm trying to find out, Dan.
Yeah,
That's all I can
right.
tell you. When I do,
Yeah.
I will tweet it out.
Yeah.
Let you know.
So should Corey Perry's parents sue the Blackhawks? That's at 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. I want Corey Perry back on the Blackhawks. I have no idea what he did that was violative of his contract. It apparently didn't involve other players. But I like him on the Blackhawks. He's a great athlete because, obviously, he's playing professional hockey. And I want him back on the Blackhawks because I do. So I'm going to get together some of my friends, season ticket holders. We're going to put on T-shirts that say, we want Corey back. And I'm going to get Corey's parents to say he's been bullied and he's been treated unfairly. We'll file a bull jive First Amendment suit in federal district court here. And let's get Corey Perry back in the Blackhawks. We have no idea what
38-year-old man.
I don't
who
care.
allegedly slept with the rookie's mother.
We have no idea what he did. Where was that? He allegedly did what?
Slept with one of the rookie's moms.
Really? Where's that been reported?
That
or is that one of your unnamed sources?
I read
Where's
the
that been
story
reported?
last night.
In the statement by the team, engaged in conduct unacceptable in violation of both the terms of his standard player's contract and Blackhawks internal policies. It did not have anything to do with any other player.
Right, because it would be a player's mom. All I read was they had this 2-game road trip where moms were invited.
Mm-hmm.
And something transpired, and now he's not on the team anymore. But he's not a kid. He's not a kid like Brendan Savage is. This is a 38-year-old man.
Well, so what does that have to do with it? We're talking about the standards by which decisions are made, who's in charge, and who gets to make the call, not to mention the underlying facts of a specific incident that would support a judgment call or not support a judgment call. That's what we're talking about. I'll get fine. Then Hinsdale South, I'll give you an example. Hinsdale South, what do they got, 12 or 15 kids on the team?
17 now.
Okay, so 17 kids. So the kid who was number 18 and got cut, I want to get to, I don't know his name, I want to get kids together and say, we want number 18 back, and he's better than number 15 or number 12, and here are the stats, And here's what other players say about him. He's actually better than the 15th ranked kid on the team. And so he should be on the team, and the 15th ranked kid shouldn't be on the team. You want to litigate that? Because he's a great athlete. That's all you care. That's all what you just said. He's a great athlete. He's playing basketball again. Well, number 18 is a better basketball player than number 15, I argue, with the same sort of evidence that's presented here. So why shouldn't the parents of number 18 litigate the case to get number 18 on the team instead of number 15 because he's a demonstrably better player? And then we could all celebrate that the best 17 players are on the Hinsdale South team as opposed to what we have now, where that's not the case.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. Brendan Savage still isn't on the Max Preps varsity roster yet, so I don't know what that means.
I'm sorry, are you going to comment on my hypothetical? Would you support that?
I just don't think anybody is probably as good as Brandon Savage. I mean,
Brendan Savage is his name.
Savage.
But what does as good mean?
All conference, being on varsity, sophomore, junior.
So this is so because he's the best player on the team, he's held to a different standard. So if you're the number one player,
vote for coaches. Other coaches put people on the team. So if he was,
other coaches put people on the team.
No, I'm sorry, on all conference. Like,
so what?
It's a vote. So I'm saying people know about that. But
so what? So say he's the best player on the team. He's the best player on the team. Well, number 18 who got cut is better than number 15, I argue. And so shouldn't number 18 be on the team instead of number 15 because he's better? Just like Brendan should be on the team because he's better than everybody else on the team. How is that any different? So you would support the parents of number 18 litigating that if I could make a case for number 18 over number 15 on the team, right?
He was retaliated against because he was sticking up for himself.
Except you just conceded you don't know that. But now you're saying it as fact.
I'm saying something happened. There is an accusation.
Right, something
of
happened.
bullying,
and you don't know what it is, but you're going to assume it's fact. We know what the facts are, and we know what we don't know in terms of the facts. But you're just assuming them for the sake of argument because you don't want to answer my hypothetical, do you? Right. Phil in Maryville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, I want to agree with you. They're basically saying the coach is guilty until proven innocent. I mean, it doesn't matter how good the kid was. There's multitudes of reasons why he could have been, cut. But he's guilty till proven innocent, just like Trump.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Jim in LaGrange.
Trump doesn't run away from reporters.
Oh, yeah, that's the real crime, is running away from a reporter. Oh, heavens.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Amy, so, Dan, I've been a high school coach for about 8 years at some of your favorite places and in a different sport. But here's what I will tell you. I agree with you, Dan. There is way more going on behind the scenes than any of us can imagine because just from my experience, and Amy, you can back this up, if you've got a two-time all-conference player, that school and that program and that coach are featuring that kid like nobody's business.
Right, you design your offenses around that player.
Well, no. More than that. They're talking about that kid in terms of all state. He's getting recruited by XYZ schools. This is the place to go to play basketball. Don't go to another school. Come here. So for that to be thrown aside and this kid to not even make the team to get cut, there is much more going on behind the scenes because obviously that kid's talented. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Jim. And why weren't the coaches fired? If it's so toxic, if this is retaliatory, if they're so venal, if this is otherwise a wonderful young man who's a consummate team player, and I have no knowledge that he isn't, I don't know, and there's nothing here afoot other than the parents' complaint about whatever coarse language or something that was from the previous coach in the direction of their son, then why wouldn't Hinsdale South just man up in the best interest of everybody? Everybody on the team, everybody in the school district, let's just get rid of the coaches if it's so obvious. Those are questions we don't have to ask when we're part of the lynch mobs that run around following NBC5's reporting around. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hi, you guys. So I played volleyball, Amy. I think we talked about this as a freshman at OPRF. I made the JV team. I'm 5'3", and they put me on JV. I felt like I was being groomed to get up, into the varsity team at some point because I was really good. But I sat on the bench and I didn't get to play, and I was kind of bummed out the whole season because who wants to be a bench warmer, So I didn't, the very last practice of the season, freshman year, I didn't go to, I still get upset about it. I didn't go to the practice. I got kicked off the team. I was told I can't go to the awards.
Practice? And if you want to start, be better.
I know. I broke the rule. But, I broke the rule. That's for sure, Amy. That's why I got kicked off. But there was I went to the coach and I said, what's the point of me being here? It's the last practice. We won state. I'm a freshman. Can I please go somewhere else? And she said no. So I said, go. I have to work. I have a job in LaGrange. I'm going to go do it. I was babysitting. I was going to make $100. I was going to go babysit, and she didn't care, and then I didn't care. And you know what happened? I quit. I never went back. I could have played volleyball, but it really, that was a toxic program. You want to go back?
Oh, life. Oh, this is a life lesson. Oh, well, no, Mary Kay.
Go to practice to go to work. That's
Mary Kay. Sue. No. Sue OPRF. I think the statute. The statute probably hasn't run yet.
I didn't even tell my mom and dad. I just went home and said, I'm going to LaGrange to babysit. My parents were like, good, see you around. They didn't sue. They didn't, there was nothing to sue about. I mean, it was a toxic environment. They had two coaches over there, Redmond and Miklos, who inherited.
Now we're really getting into the weeds here. Yeah.
Well, forget it. They inherited a really, really good team, and my parents could have gone back and accused them of discrimination for lots of reasons, that I'm not going to explain. But my point is, this kid doesn't have, until you find out all the details, Amy, there is no, I think Dan's right. You need to get a lot more information before this kid, I didn't even try to get reinstated because I knew I was so wrong, but, you need more information. Yes, Amy. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. Dan and
I'm going to call you No Practice, Mary Kay.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Testosterone levels are at an all-time low. Individual T levels decline 1% every year. Chalk, CHOQ, is the new champion of natural testosterone boosters. Chalk's main ingredient is clinically studied to naturally boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity and boost your daily energy with Chalk's Male Vitality Stack. For a limited time, our listeners will get 30% off at CHOQ.com with promo code USA. CHOQ.com, code USA.
Wouldn't it feel great to give gifts with an impact? That's Caring creates gift boxes that also give back to food insecure children with every purchase. That's right. Order great gifts and you'll benefit a great cause. From sweets and snacks to apparel and wine and cheese, That's Caring has a gift for anyone in your life. Want to impress a new client? Send a loved one a just because gift? Order a homemade cookie cube gift box, chocolate indulgence gift box, trail mix. There's even dietary friendly options. View all their unique and delicious gifts at that'scaring.com. Every gift basket is handcrafted with 3 essential rules. It must taste great, it must look amazing, and it must give back. Since 2013, That's Caring has been providing essential weekend bags for food insecure children. So help the cause and give a That's Caring gift basket to someone special. Go to that'scaring.com. Visit now. That'scaring.com.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here, and if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then this message is for you.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food prices.
Here's how you and your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio.
Just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Michael Schellenberger, one of the Twitter Files journalists, out with a new piece on the birth of the censorship industrial complex. 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A jury hears secret recordings from Danny Solis in the Ed Burke trial. Mayor Johnson unveils a plan to move some migrants into churches. Bulls get crushed by the Celtics. The Blackhawks beat the Kraken. Blackhawks place Corey Perry on waivers. Bears great Devin Hester among Hall of Fame semifinalists again. WIND Chicago News Times, 6 o'clock.
A deadly crash at sea. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It was a U.S. military aircraft that went into the ocean off the Japanese coast. At least one crew member was found dead as they search for the others.
There were 6 people on board the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey when it came down half a mile from Yakushima Island off southern Japan. A fishing boat reported the incident. Witnesses saw fire coming from the Osprey's left engine. Officials say it attempted an emergency sea landing.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Hamas is set to free 10 more hostages on this, the 6th and perhaps final day of a ceasefire. Their names have been handed over to Israel.
My family is not on the list for today.
Ifad Zahler's relatives still held captive. That includes a 10-month-old boy.
We try to remain hopeful.
Hamas has freed 12 other hostages yesterday. In all, they've released 60 Israeli women and children in this ceasefire, along with 21 foreign nationals.
As part of the deal, Palestinian prisoners also being released, 180 so far coming out of Israeli jails. There's no shortage of those. What is being worked on by the U.S., Israel, Qatar, and the Hamas go-betweens, an extension of the ceasefire and hostage exchanges. Crucial, too, in these recent days, humanitarian aid being brought into the battered Gaza Strip.
Fox's Greg Palcott in Tel Aviv. Republicans keep demanding more border security as illegal immigration keeps surging, and that's holding up a military aid package in the Senate for Israel and Ukraine. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is going to go to Texas today.
The holiday week did nothing to slow the surge. According to our CBP sources, there were more than 9,300 total migrant encounters in just the last 24 hours, with more than 2,800 alone in the Tucson sector and nearly 2,200 in that Del Rio sector where Mayorkas is heading.
That's Fox's Griff Jenkins. America's listening to Fox News.
25 degrees. At 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke now getting a chance to hear the secret recordings by FBI mole and former Alderman Danny Solis. The jury yesterday saw and heard recordings made by Solis, and those led to Ed Burke's 2019 indictment. Mayor Johnson is unveiling a plan to move some illegal migrants from police stations into churches.
A diverse, intergenerational, interracial, interfaith coalition of communities coming together to help those in need.
The mayor was joined by a few faith leaders yesterday to announce the so-called Unity Initiative. The program will relocate some migrants into 17 churches. The Reverend John Zayas pastors one of those churches.
Our goal is to house
Our goal is to give hope. Our goal is to make sure that those who are coming feel welcomed and embraced.
Each church will house 20 migrants. The program funded by $350,000 in what appear to be private donations. 2 men are charged in the shooting of a Bedford Park police officer this past weekend. Police have arrested Raul Perez and Luis Gonzalez. Former Bears return specialist Devin Hester is now among the 25 semifinalists for this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame class. Hester's 20 return touchdowns are an NFL record. Chicago sports. Bulls blasted by Boston 124-97. Hawks in the win column with a 4-3 victory over the Kraken. David Braun wins both Big Ten Coach of the Year awards from the media and from the Big Ten coaches. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. You can go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago this Christmas season on their spectacular annual holiday tour. And AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
It's hard to believe, but 2024 will be here soon. Before you get caught up in all the busy holiday season shopping and whatnot, ask yourself, what are you doing now to put your retirement in a better position for the future? Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group. Tom has prepared a 2023 year-end planning report. This report will show you ways to reduce your tax burden on your retirement savings, income strategies that don't depend on a volatile market, and ideas on how to protect and pass down assets to your loved ones. Tom has been helping build financial plans for retirements for over 2 decades, and he's sharing his knowledge and experience in this report. Call Tom today at 630-934-1855 and ask for the 2023 year-end planning report. That's 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour right here on AM 560 The Answer, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
.607. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Tri-State Tollway reported accident being cleaned up northbound between LaGrange Road and 75th. Warrenville, report of an accident, Route 59, southbound between Ferry and the Reagan Memorial Toll Road. That's I-88. You can get by right now in the right-hand lane. Checking the inbound Dan Ryan, already heavy inbound between Pershing and 18th. 19 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. It's 6:08, time to call Permaseal at 800-421-7325. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, mostly sunny, not as cold. Our high today, 40. Clear to partly cloudy, some patchy fog. Late tonight, low 32. Patchy fog tomorrow morning, then cloudy skies, high 47. Rain Friday morning, otherwise a cloudy day, high 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. If you thought the Twitter files were explosive, then wait till we get a full accounting, because it's not here yet, but it's coming, of the Cyber Threat Intelligence League. The ostensible beginnings, or certainly the ramping up of the censorship industrial complex in reaction specifically to two events, Brexit and then Trump's election. This is such a huge deal. And I don't understand why Republicans aren't paying more attention. This using disinformation under the auspices of preventing disinformation, censorship, and the government outsourcing censorship they can't legally do to private entities that also cannot legally do it as agents of the federal government. But it's happening anyway, and it's been happening for a lot longer than we think. And apparently, with a lot more power players involved than we initially thought. Some of that came out in the Twitter files, but that's just Twitter. It's much bigger. And it really gets into election rigging, as we have talked about it on this show, thanks in part to the work of Mike Benz, former State Department official in the cyberspace area during the Trump administration. And I caught up with Benz for my latest episode of Counterculture, my podcast. And I asked him, why didn't the Trump administration, in the furtherance of draining the swamp, why didn't anybody in the Trump administration that should have a sensitivity to these things, that were up against and rallying against, sometimes publicly, the quote-unquote deep state, why didn't they catch what was going on between state agencies, cutouts in the private sector, and Twitter, and now, I would add, this just broke yesterday, Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, we'll get to them in a second, this Cyber Threat Intelligence League. I would add, how did Trump's people not pick up on this and bring it public? That period and some of what we saw there in terms of the beginnings of next phase manipulation of information. Did we miss something else during that period that turned out to be critical when they took it next level?
That was missed at the White House level. I was screaming about it pretty much every day, for the past 7 years. I mean, this was all available for anyone with eyes to see, open source, if you were in the right place at the right time. They were having these conversations openly. That is the blob apparatchiks, the folks from the Pentagon, the State Department, and the IC, talking about the need to stop domestic mis and disinformation as early as 2017. With that first term. In fact, it was in February 2017, just 1 month into Trump's term that the Atlantic Council began its social media censorship world tour. The Atlantic Council gets annual funding from all four branches of the U.S. military, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and the Marines. It gets funding from the State Department, gets funding from CIA cutouts like the National Endowment for Democracy. It has 7 former CIA chiefs on its board of directors, but it was threatened by the Trump administration because it had a private cooperation agreement with Burisma, the Biden family's natural gas company, essentially, if you will, in Ukraine, and they were threatened by Trump's foreign policy, potentially cutting off oxygen to the ongoing coup that the Pentagon and the UK Foreign Office were waging in Ukraine. If you remember, the 2019 impeachment of Trump was also a Pentagon CIA affair. It was a Pentagon official in the form of Vindman, and it was a CIA guy in the form of Eric Ciamarella that orchestrated in cahoots with a State Department cabal with Yovanovitch and those folks and George Kent to pull off that impeachment. I mean, everything that Trump was under threat by was around this foreign policy blob that was the architect of the censorship infrastructure we now have. And this is a really important point. Most people think of domestic censorship as being controlled by domestic organizations. It's not. I mean, they may be parked domestically, but these are globalist organizations. These are foreign policy organizations. Organizations like the Atlantic Council I just mentioned, or like Graphica, which is a Pentagon cutout, which is part of that election integrity partnership you mentioned, or like Stanford University, which is run by Michael McFaul, Obama's ambassador to Russia, and which is run at the operational level by Renee DiResta, who started her career in the CIA. It is all the foreign-facing Department of Dirty Tricks who is controlling domestic censorship. This is exactly what Eisenhower warned about in the 50s and 60s. It's what Truman, who set up the CIA, warned about after he left office when he wrote an op-ed saying that if he knew the CIA would end up this way, he would have never created it. He would have never signed it by pen stroke. We empowered this blob to do dirty tricks abroad, to overthrow governments and to rig media ecosystems on every plot of dirt in the world. The whole catch was it was never supposed to come home. And now not only has it come home, it has built a beaver dam, it has built a bird's nest, it has declared a permanent home. And if it's not stopped now, we're never going to stop it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I don't know that there's a more serious domestic threat than what Ben's just described.
Yeah, but why do you think the Republicans aren't talking about the Cyber Threat Intelligence League? I assume or what? Was laziness?
I assume many of them don't know about it. I assume some of them are compromised and they're part of that blob that Ben's is talking about. That certainly happens in D.C. I mean, the Republican Party doesn't come to the table with pristine hands on this, and all of the other more easy to explain, more sort of binary issues that people can pontificate over. This is a little bit more involved. This is a little bit more complicated. You got to keep track of a lot of players. You need almost like a mob family org chart here when you're talking about the election integrity partnership, which we've talked about before. That included, it was run through sort of Stanford University, but you heard Ben's talking about it. Graphica, Pentagon cutout, the Atlantic Council. These organizations are all funded in some form or fashion by the federal government, and we're acting, and this is what's central to that Missouri v. Biden case before the Supreme Court, that we're doing things. And they admit, this is part of the Twitter Files investigation, they admit they were doing things they knew were of dubious constitutionality at the behest of federal agencies like DHS, Homeland Security, that couldn't do the curing alleged misinformation with real misinformation. In other words, curing things that they disagreed with, whether it was on COVID or the Biden family, with actual misinformation.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro text line. You could also reach us all morning long on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. We got one already. What are they going to do in 2024? Is that election going to be safe?
Well, this is the point. This is why Benz and Taibbi and Schellenberger and other Twitter Files journalists are detailing all of this and putting all of this out for public consumption. And the public needs to start consuming it at a faster rate and really internalizing what's happening here. I'm not one given to conspiracy theories or hysterics about end times, but I mean this is fundamental threat, and it is coming from inside the house. And again, look, Schellenberger and Taibbi, who are both men of the left, we've had them both on the show. They're both men of the left, and neither one's a Trump supporter or anything like that. But they're the Woodward and Bernsteins of our time.
Right.
And hopefully they won't get corrupted by the allure of D.C. the way that Woodward and Bernstein did. But so let's just give a little preview here, because Schellenberger and then Taibbi had a live chat on this last night talking about it. The Cyber Threat Intelligence League officially began, this is from Schellenberger, officially began as a volunteer project of data scientists and defense and intelligence veterans, but whose tactics over time appear to have been absorbed into multiple official projects, including at DHS. Here we go, Homeland Security again. And this is what they're referencing is a trove of documents that have been made available to Taibbi and Schellenberger and their colleagues, and they're sort of summarizing, and they're going to be providing in the coming days the details to substantiate what they're summarizing, what they got from these whistleblower or whistleblowers. The Cyber Threat Intelligence League documents offer the missing link answers to key questions not addressed in the Twitter files and Facebook files. Combined, they offer a comprehensive picture of the birth of the anti-disinformation, quote unquote, the anti-disinformation sector, or what we call the censorship industrial complex. The whistleblowers' documents describe everything from the genesis of modern digital censorship programs to the role of the military and intel agencies, partnerships with civil society organizations and commercial media, and the use of sock puppet accounts and other offensive techniques. For example, a quotation here, "Lock your blank down," explains one document about creating, quote, "your spy disguise." Another explains that while such activities overseas are typically done by the CIA and NSA and the Department of Defense, censorship efforts against Americans have to be done using private partners because the government doesn't have the legal authority. The same thing we saw from those election integrity partnership heads when it came to censorship online of Twitter and other social media platforms. This is the same thing we're seeing again. Their admission, they know what they're doing is extra-constitutional, which is to say unconstitutional. The whistleblower alleges the league, the leader of the league was a former British intelligence analyst who was in the room at the Obama White House in 2017 when she received the instructions to create a counter-disinformation project to, quote, "stop a repeat of 2016. Just in case there's any confusion about the timing of this or the purpose of it, right?
Yeah, so she was at Obama's White House. Okay. So they let her in the White House. All right, and then she received instructions. This sounds so like spy novel. Receive instructions to create a counter-disinformation project to stop a repeat of 2016.
Now, a large trove of new documents, including strategy documents, training videos, presentations, internal messages, reveal that in 2019, U.S. and British military and intelligence contractors, led by a former UK defense researcher named Sarah Jane Terp, developed the sweeping censorship framework. These contractors co-led this league, which partnered with CISA, which is in the Department of Homeland Security, in the spring of 2020. So now they're understanding it began earlier than they originally thought from the Twitter files. The league framework, internal league Slack messages show Terp, the point person, her colleagues and officials from DHS and Facebook all working closely together in the censorship process. He goes on to say, I mean, he may name some other names. I mean, this is, quite involved, but you're starting to get the feel of it. The sum total of the documents, just in summary here from Schellenberger, the sum total of documents is a clear picture of a highly coordinated and sophisticated effort by the U.S. and British governments to build a domestic censorship effort and influence operations similar to the ones they have used in foreign countries. At one point, Terp, the point person, openly referenced her work in the background on social media issues related to the Arab Spring. Another time, the whistleblower said she expressed her own apparent surprise that she would ever use such tactics developed for foreign nationals against American citizens. Over the next several days and weeks, writes Schellenberger, we intend to present these documents to congressional investigators, and we'll make public all the documents while while also protecting the identity of the whistleblower and other individuals who are not senior leaders or public figures. And they're now digging into all of those documents, but this is the top line. Taibbi, writing over at his Substack, Racket News, he writes, I was initially dismissive of this as a news story, as were a few industry experts I consulted. The key figures in the group, British data scientist, former defense researcher named Sarah Jane Terp, we just mentioned, and Navy technologist named Pablo Brewer, were not roundly considered by my sources to be heavy hitters in the anti-disinformation world. However, once we got into the documents, we all realized they had tremendous significance. It wasn't just the League's virtual meetings and training sessions that were routinely attended by DHS and FBI officials, or that CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, DHS, had Chris Krebs, who famously, as we brought you on the show, famously announced that to 60 Minutes, the election was the safest and securest election we ever had in 2020. He was the spokesmodel for that position. It wasn't just that all these individuals were attending the training sessions by the League, or that Chris Krebs had announced the subunit, DHS subunit, was partnering with the group, the League, or even that the tactics were ultimately adopted, at least in part, by this sub-agency in DCS. No, the crucial element, writes Taibbi, is that the docs is that they show in great gory detail a side of the anti-disinformation universe until now mostly hidden from the public. While the Twitter files were important in confirming government involvement in defensive activities like censorship and de-amplification, these files show how members were instructed in a wide range of offensive tactics, including everything from using burner phones to creating fake identities and sock puppet accounts to infiltrate domestic political groups. I mean, that's some heavy stuff. And because it's complicated, it'll be waved off by many. But this is stuff that we're going to dig into as Taibbi and Schellenberger dig into it because, number one, it's just fundamental to be a free society that you're not living in an Ayn Rand novel, okay, dystopian Ayn Rand novel. Number two, we know, we have some idea based on, I don't know, the exit polling about the Hunter Biden laptop and the impact that could have had on the 2020 election, the research of Harvard-trained psychologist Robert Epstein into Google and how Google's manipulation of the algorithms to produce search results on certain topics can move millions of votes, something that he's been researching going back to 2016 in that election. I mean, we know this has an impact on elections. Of course, the information that people can access or not access informs their understanding of what's happening and at whose hands it's happening. So, talk all day long about voting machines and vote-by-mail programs, and that's certainly part of the legitimate part of the conversation. But this is so central because it is ongoing 24/7.
Right.
And it's unconstitutional. And it is anathema to a free society.
Could they pass this off as like opposition research for a candidate?
Well, you can't do that if you're the federal government. I mean,
it's illegal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course.
I'm just thinking out loud of how they're gonna, because people are gonna get caught and hopefully taken down for this. I'm hoping.
Corey and Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. This stuff has been hidden in plain sight. The Smith Munt, I think it's Munt, his last name is M-U-N-D-T. He put this thing together back in the 40s, I believe, to try to stop this information from getting into the U.S., this disinformation that the CIA was pushing. But then Barack Obama, the great Barack Obama, he allowed this information to come in. So now we're being propagandized by the CIA. But it's being done in plain sight. Wikipedia, all of these online tools are just making it easier for these guys. But the question is, what is the American going to do? But the problem is the Americans are just lulled to sleep by this stuff. We're not awoke yet.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Well, I mean, again, it's one thing, Wikipedia is a private company. I mean, they can, propagandize as they see fit, as can other private individuals and private actors. But you can't do it as an agent of the federal government. That's the bright red line. You can't do it if you're the federal government, and you can't do it if you're an agent of the federal government. And to me, I'm a bit surprised, actually. We'll see in the coming days and weeks as more of this information is what Taibbi and Schellenberger got from this whistleblower is presented. But it would be malpractice for Republican presidential candidates in particular to not pick this up and force this into the conversation surrounding next year's election. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Testosterone levels are at an all-time low. Individual T levels decline 1% every year. Chalk, CHOQ, is the new champion of natural testosterone boosters. Chalk's main ingredient is clinically studied to naturally boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity and boost your daily energy with Chalk's Male Vitality Stack. For a limited time, our listeners will get 30% off at CHOQ.com with promo code USA. CHOQ.com, code USA.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-555-2085. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-555-2085. That's 800-555-2085. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-555-2085.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we got to compare our sports and politics from earlier in the program. We got to update you on that Kansas City Chief fan, this pre-adolescent, who the Deadspin reporter targeted for elimination, or at least public humiliation, for allegedly wearing blackface to the Chiefs game. And said, he couldn't tell if the kid was a young adult. The kid's 5 years old.
He's 5? I thought he was 8. Wow.
5 years old. 6:36, sports and politics.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
26 degrees this morning, 6:32. Pentagon says a U.S. military V-22 Osprey has crashed into the sea off the west coast of Japan with 8 on board. At least 1 death has been reported. 12 more hostages have been released by Hamas, part of an extended ceasefire deal with Israel. University of California, Berkeley this morning faces a major lawsuit accusing the school of failing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism on campus. The Brandeis Center for Human Rights under law filed the suit in federal court on Tuesday. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke now finally getting a chance to hear the secret recordings by FBI mole and former Alderman Danny Solis. In one recording from August of 2016, Ed Burke asked Danny Solis to recommend his firm to do tax work on the old post office renovation.
While you're at it, recommend the good firm of Crafter and Burke to do the tax work.
All right, I certainly will.
The jury yesterday saw and heard recordings made by Solis, which led to Burke's 2019 indictment. Mayor Johnson unveiling plans to move some migrants from police stations into churches.
A diverse, intergenerational, interracial, interfaith coalition of communities coming together to help those in need.
The mayor joined by a few faith leaders yesterday. Each church will house 20 migrants. The program funded with $50,000 in private donations. Chicago sports. Bulls blasted by Boston 124-97. Blackhawks in the win column 4-3 over the Kraken. Cody Bellinger and Liam Hendricks honored with Comeback Player of the Year for the American and National League while playing for the Cubs and the White Sox. The news is a service of Boost Infinite. Boost Infinite's new wireless technology switches between networks, giving you the best service at a lower price. Switch today. Visit boostinfinite.com or go to amazon.com and search for Boost iPhone 15. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
There's nothing worse than hearing about people living in pain. So I'd like to tell you about Keith from Washington and his Relief Factor story. After years of activity from college football to running a martial arts studio, at age 51, Keith's body felt like it was wearing out. So he gave Relief Factor a try. Keith says he now has, quote, little to no pain in my knees and highly reduced neck pain. Feeling so much better, he pursued a second-degree black belt. I can testify to everything except the black belt part, how much it has helped me. Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pain, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. To get started, try the Relief Factor 3-week quick start kit. It's only $19.95. Comes with a feel better or your money back guarantee. Visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
It is 6:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Edens, 27 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy right now, 55 minutes from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike jams up inbound Manheim to Oak Park Avenue, 44 into the old post office. Dan Ryan stop and go in the express inbound, 43rd up to the Stevenson, 20 minutes in from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State overturned vehicle on the left-hand shoulder. It's on the northbound side of 294 between LaGrange Road and 75th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast: mostly sunny, not as cold, and a high near 40. Currently 26 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Dan and Amy, good morning. On yesterday's program, at the end, we talked about this incident. A Deadspin reporter named Karen Phillips wrote this piece going after this pre-adolescent Chiefs fan that he saw, well, I guess while watching the Chiefs-Raiders game this weekend, because the kid was wearing a headdress, like a Native American headdress, along with apparent blackface, although he showed a picture with just half of his face. So he was actually wearing black and red, like the Chiefs' colors.
Yeah.
Anyway, that didn't matter. He went nuclear on the kid, as we said yesterday, sort of Nick Sandman 2.0 here. It takes a whole lot of disrespect. It takes a whole lot to disrespect two groups of people at once, wrote the alleged adult in this situation. This is what happens when you ban books, stand against critical race theory, and try to erase centuries of hate. Yeah,
that's what happens.
You have a 5-year-old show up to a Chiefs game wearing Chiefs battle gear. That's what happens.
The 5-year-old doesn't even know what blackface is, and he wasn't in blackface. And a lot of grown men go to NFL games and college games and paint the team's colors on their face, because that's what this was. But he took the angle where it was the blackface.
Have you ever heard? Everybody in Chicago has seen Bearman at the Bears games.
Right.
I mean, for example, for the idiots, Phillips wrote, who mentioned, who in my mentions, who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face was painted red. I could make the argument that it makes it even worse. Y'all are the ones who hate Mexicans but wear sombreros on Cinco.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA and then a quick comment on our text line.
If the NFL, this is the Phillips going on, the Deadspin columnist, if the NFL had outlawed the chop at Chiefs games and been more aggressive in changing the team's name, we wouldn't be here. That's what he said. Can just continue to prattle on. While it isn't the league's responsibility to stop racism and hate from being taught in the home, they are a league that has relentlessly participated in prejudice. Also, CBS showed him multiple times, and this is the photo people chose to blast to create division. That's what one wrote in response, that had absolving the NFL. Yeah. So CBS, blame the NFL. First of all, let's just establish something because people are so bad at detecting false choices.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL, CBS, Deadspin, they're on the same team. The NFL, it's not the NFL's job to eradicate hate in the home. You wouldn't know that from how the NFL has behaved over the last 3 years, would you? So the NFL is a completely left organization, like all major sports have become, maybe with the modest exception of hockey and golf. Modest, though. Close call. But they're gone. And obviously CBS. I mean,
come on.
do I even have to talk about that? Any network, a news organization, of course. So this is left cannibalizing the left, despite the attempt by Phillips to sort of, suggest the NFL is some right-wing organization that's suborning hate, so on and so forth. So let's just establish that so people don't fall in the trap of, I'm with the NFL. No, you're not. If you're against any of this nonsense, then you're not with the NFL because they're with this nonsense. But it turns out that something interesting about the kid in question.
Yeah. Should we say his name people are reporting it.
Yeah, Holden Armenta is his name.
And guess what?
His mom took to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon Armenta took to Facebook. Just stop already. He is Native American. Yeah. It turns out, according to Mom, that his grandfather was of Native American extraction. And so the grandfather serving on the Santa Ynez Band of the Chumash Indians.
I'm so glad you pronounced it instead of me. I was going to call it something different.
So there you go. But even that leaves me a bit wanting on the topic because even if he didn't have any Native American heritage, he didn't do anything wrong. Although,
He's
again,
a 5-year-old kid.
To the NFL, back to the NFL and these sports franchises, why I gave up my tickets years ago during the BLM riots. And will never buy season tickets again to any of these sports franchises, at least so long as the leagues behave like they behave and the individual teams as well. Interesting note, the Kansas City Chiefs did ban wearing Native American headdresses a few years ago. They banned them in 2020, and now there's pressure on them, including from this columnist at Deadspin, to ban the tomahawk chop as well.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Be interesting to see how the fans respond to that. And what are you going to do? So you're going to throw out everybody who wears a headdress like this kid and his family because he's not old enough to go to the games by himself. Or
because he's 5.
And then everybody who makes the chopping motion. Is that
going to kick him out?
That's what the Chiefs are going to do? I don't think so. I think they established this rule to satiate the mob temporarily, hoping they'd never have to deal with it, and now it's going to be front and center again. As is their name, their nickname.
Where's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, even Taylor Swift, saying, "Hey,
Swift,
stop beating up on this kid and bring him to the next game, have him do the coin toss or do something, have him,
Well, that's what I would do if I was the owner of the Chiefs.
That's what I would do for sure. Embrace this. And like, hey, you know what? That's enough. You're beating up on a 5-year-old boy who doesn't even know, policies that are in place. And he's just a kid who's also Native American, who is wearing a headdress and painted face colors. And we love that you love our team. Come on in.
Yeah, but again, as I mentioned yesterday, I mean, you have to understand what the left does, who the left is, what these identitarians do, including some that are cowered on the center right by the same dynamic. Mascots and boogeymen. Mascots and boogeymen. Greta Thunberg, mascot. Nick Sandmann, boogeyman. Chris in Arlington Heights.
Hey guys, just wanted to mention there's an organization called NAGA, Native American Guardian Association, that actually pushes back against this type of, pushback on people wearing Native American gear and so forth and mascots, because in their eyes, they're honoring their ancestry by wearing this stuff, and you should get them on because it's really important. It's not the Native Americans. At least not all Native Americans that are
No, of course not.
It's really the white liberals. It's the white
Yeah.
liberals.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the call, Chris. I mean, there's been some that have taken to social media in the wake of this story getting traction. Some Native Americans say, I'm a Native American, doesn't bother me. But, that's somebody who's rational and an adult and is not looking to score political points by excoriating a 5-year-old.
I mean, Phillips, this reporter, this Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, he claimed the boy had found a way to hate black people and the Native Americans at the same time. Wow, you're such an in-depth reporter. Give me a break.
Robert, Bloomingdale.
Hey, guys, how you doing? The little boy, the Atlanta Braves, the Kansas City Chiefs, and even our Line 9 Blackhawks, my bottom line, the radical left needs to get a grip and get a life. What do you think?
Yeah, well, thanks for the call. They do. That's not going to happen anytime soon. By the way, I also think that those Las Vegas Raiders cheerleaders who took a picture with Holden, there's a picture online, Daily Mail has it. Oh, I guess Mom posted it online. Picture with 4 Raiders cheerleaders. And Holden in his full battle dress.
Mm-hmm.
Those Raiders cheerleaders should be suspended too, or targeted for elimination by Deadspin.
That kid was having a good day, man, up until that reporter tried to oust him as a racist.
Well, those cheerleaders
are having fun.
Their cheerleaders are accomplices to racism.
Even though 2 are black?
Doesn't matter. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, they should leave dress up to the transvestite community. They're the magical people and the professionals in this category.
All right, George. Yeah, speaking of mascots.
Well, you don't like it, though, when men wear jerseys, like players' jerseys to games, right?
I have rules about that. I don't.
Kids can do it, though.
I don't like it generally. There's a couple of things yes, adults.
What do you tolerate?
It's not just men.
Numbers?
It's adults. Yeah. So one is you can't have your name on the back of the jersey.
I have one of those. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Number 2 is
like a linebacker.
The player whose jersey you're wearing can't be smaller than you. This is particularly true at Comiskey, where you would see a lot of rather Rubenesque women wearing Scotty Pasednik jerseys, and it always bothered me.
Okay.
So
do you walk up to them and say, they do make larger sizes?
No, I'm not
that guy.
That antagonistic. But I'm just trying to promote rules that would bring an element of decorum to the outings.
Right.
That's all. Trying to help mint better fans.
So he was able
to dress fans.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but he was able to wear that headdress into the game because it was in Vegas. It was a Raiders game, right? But if you wear you can't. Do they try and take it away from you if you wear a headdress at the Kansas City Chiefs game?
Well, I don't know.
That seems. I don't know.
Rich in Indian Head Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Now, I've seen pictures of this little boy with the so-called blackface. And then I've also pulled up some pictures of these big white linemen who have this blackface on, too. Should they ban the black under the eyes for white players in the NFL?
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, Rich. Well, we talked about this yesterday, too, because there was a story out of La Jolla, California, where a high school kid had eye black on and sort of extended it the way that you see NFL players doing it to make it almost like a mask in support of he was a grade school kid in support of a high school team at a high school football game. And he gets whistled in days after the game and suspended for racial insensitivity. That's again. That's why the story is like, don't we have better things to worry about? But in a sense, it's it's a small thing that's indicative of big cultural rot, and thus the need to discuss it.
And again, he wasn't in blackface. It looked like bat wings underneath his eye, exactly like NFL and collegiate players do during games.
Nobody is going around purposefully in blackface to ridicule black people other than maybe Justin Trudeau and Ralph Northam.
I was just
those are
have they reacted to these stories, Dan?
Adult male honky Dem socialist politicians are the only ones who still wear blackface in America for the purposes of ridiculing black people. So I guess maybe we should just start from that baseline. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
Well, yesterday was Giving Tuesday, and you guys have delivered for our Food for the Poor campaign. We're trying to help feed underprivileged children, people who really don't know where their next meal is coming from, children in Latin America and the Caribbean. Tom in Elmhurst, my wife Kathy and I began donating in 2022. We've decided to give every year to this wonderful charity on Giving Tuesday. And they put a reminder in their iPhone, Dan, every year to remember to do that. Anonymous in Downers Grove gave a great donation. My gift is only a small part of a much larger effort to save lives in Haiti. I'm grateful for the life I have been gifted in the United States, and wish to share some of that with those who struggle. So if you want to help out, we're asking for a one-time donation of $80. You could feed 2 children for 1 year. If you give $320, you could feed 8 children for 1 year. The number to call, 844-862-4673. Again, that's 844-862-4673. Or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
And we need business leadership here, as we always do, to meet our holiday goals for this campaign. So if you're a business owner, you make the marketing decisions for a business, consider becoming a business benefactor. You make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor. And we at AM 560 will give you 41-minute commercials to air on our airwaves, prime broadcast hours, Monday to Friday, between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. That's a great marketing deal, best one in Chicago radio. And at the same time, you'll be providing life-saving food for more than 65 children in Haiti for a year. To become a business benefactor, you call our general sales manager. Her name is Ann Jeanette, and her number is 847-472-8951. Again, that's Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951 to become a business benefactor.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. In just the last week, there have been 2 disquieting accounts of the persecution of Jews in New York City. In one, a pro-Hamas mob smashed the window of a kosher restaurant. In the other, a high school teacher had to take shelter as hundreds of students rampaged through the halls and threatened violence. All because she had attended a pro-Israel rally. This isn't the America I grew up in. It's shocking and sad. But it's predictable when young people and immigrants have been taught to treat traditional American values like open-mindedness and colorblindness with disdain. The diversity, equity, and inclusion curricula adopted by schools nationwide has put group identity above all else and substitutes emotion for reasoned disagreement. It's time that we insist on tolerance and respect for all who embrace America and our time-honored way of life. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
Right now is a really good time to get your student loans under control. There are so many people that we talk to every day who tell us that they just feel so much anxiety and overwhelmed by their student loans. But once they pick up that phone and call us and we're able to give them a plan and a strategy that may lower their payment by hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars, and may actually get their loans forgiven. The point is just to give people some clarity and control over their situation so that they know that whatever the payment is, whatever the plan is, there actually is a plan, and that plan is going to save them the most amount of money. I'm Ray Kaplan, and I can help you get debt-free, stress-free. Give us a call at 312-294-8989 or visit us at financialrelief.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Why did America's elite fall for crypto frauds like SBF? I have some thoughts, but we'll get the thoughts of American Enterprise Institute's Stan Vuger at 7:07.
And today more hostages will be released. Well, any Americans? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The jury hears secret recordings from Danny Solis at the Ed Burke trial. Bulls get crushed by the Celtics and the Blackhawks beat the Kraken. WIND's Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Yet another deadly crash involving a U.S. military Osprey aircraft. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. This one went down just off a Japanese island with a crew of 6 on board.
Japan's Coast Guard conducting a search and rescue operation after finding a debris field of wreckage.
Fox's Griff Jenkins.
There were multiple fishing boats in this area. Local fishermen say they found some of the crew members whose condition is unknown, but Japan's Coast Guard now confirming that at least one has died.
There have been at least 5 fatal crashes involving the military Osprey aircraft since 2012, including one in August that killed 3 Marines. It's the 6th and maybe final day of the ceasefire in Gaza. Hamas set to release another 10 hostages in a swap for Palestinian prisoners. Among those freed so far, Abby owns 2 young cousins, and she tells Fox,
"Look, they weren't wounded, which is positive, but they were malnourished. They came home much skinnier than they were 52 days prior. But they're in one piece, and they're home with their mother."
But their father is still among the almost 160 still held captive after last month's terror attack that started the war, as negotiations continue to keep Gaza quiet.
Looking at the next couple of days, we'll be focused on doing what we can to extend the pause so that we can continue to get more hostages out and more humanitarian assistance in.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken at NATO headquarters in Brussels, where they're also in talks to give Ukraine more aid in the fight against Russia. Now, the Senate keeps trying to work out more assistance for Israel and Ukraine, but another issue is holding it up.
Democrats' refusal to address the crisis at the southern...
And good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke are getting a chance to hear secret recordings by an FBI mole, former Alderman Danny Solis.
While you're at it, recommend the good firm of Clapper and Burke to do the tax work.
All right, I certainly will.
The jury yesterday saw and heard the recordings made by Solis, which led to the Burke indictment in 2019. Mayor Johnson unveiling a plan to move some illegal migrants from police stations into local churches.
A diverse, intergenerational, interracial, interfaith coalition of communities coming together to help those in need.
The mayor was joined by a few faith leaders to announce the so-called Unity Initiative. Reverend John Zayas pastors one of the churches helping.
Our goal is to house. Our goal is to give hope. Our goal is to make sure that those who are coming feel welcomed and embraced.
Each church will house 20 migrants. The program will be funded with $350,000 in private donations. Chicago sports. Bulls blasted by Boston 124-97. Blackhawks got back in the win column with a 4-3 win over Seattle at the UC. Corey Perry's short time with the Blackhawks is coming to an end.
Last week, management was notified of possible misconduct by Corey Perry. We immediately pulled him from the game and conducted an internal investigation. Upon learning the findings of the investigation, we made the decision to terminate his contract.
GM Kyle Davidson, the team waived the forward yesterday. The team declined to go into further detail about the conduct. David Braun wins both Big Ten Coach of the Year awards from the media and from the Big Ten coaches. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges and special members-only content. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago this Christmas season on their spectacular annual holiday tour. And AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been around a long time. Every one of us, as we age, realizes that things are changing in our bodies, in the world around us. Lots of times I don't like what's happening, so what can I do about it? Well, the one thing we can do is pray, right? The other thing we can do is take better care of ourselves. I do that by taking Balance of Nature because I'm not really good at nutrition. I'm too busy, I'm on the run, and I don't eat enough vegetables, and I certainly don't eat enough fruit. And when I take Balance of Nature, I can feel good that I've done something for myself that I can actually control. So take control. Get Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
7:07 as Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Report of an accident in Lombard, Rolling Road, south of North Avenue. Warrenville, Route 59 is shut down southbound between Ferry and I-88 due to an accident. On the Reagan I-88, you're jammed up eastbound Findlay to the Veterans Toll Road, I-355. On the Bishop Ford, we're tracking stop-and-go traffic this morning between the Stony Island feeder and the Dan Ryan. The Dan Ryan itself right now 21 minutes into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine today, the high 40, clear to partly cloudy, some patchy fog. Late tonight, low 32. Patchy fog tomorrow morning, a cloudy day, high 47. Periods of rain Friday morning, otherwise clouds, a high Friday at 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
26 at O'Hare, 20 in Aurora, 26 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Sam Bankman-Fried, the poster boy for effective altruism, been convicted of multi-billion-dollar fraud. He's also the subject of a book that came out earlier this year from Michael Lewis called Going Infinite. You know Michael Lewis, Blindside,
right.
Liar's Poker, Moneyball, that Michael Lewis. And this, of course, comes on the heels a few years earlier of another multi-billion-dollar fraud. That would be Bernie Madoff and family. And in part, not completely, but in significant part, especially in Madoff's case, the victims were also the greatest cheerleaders, the elites. That's the subject of a piece by Stan Voiger, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute over at Foreign Policy, foreignpolicy.com. Why did America's elite keep falling for crypto frauds? Even experienced journalists got suckered by Sam Bankman-Fried. Well, is that a Fox Butterfield moment? Even experienced journalists got suckered?
Well,
how about, of course, experienced journalists got suckered? Why did America's elite keep falling for crypto frauds? Let me hazard a guess. Because they're overeducated, trend-sucking dilettantes who spend all their times navel-gazing over their own moral superiority?
Yeah, or that, yeah.
Could that be why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see if I'm close. Stan Voiger from American Enterprise Institute joins us now. Stan, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. So you can probably pick up on how much empathy I have for experienced journalists and other so-called elites as it pertains to Sam Bankman-Fried. About as much empathy as he has for people that he defrauded, apparently. So what's your vision or view in terms of why so many bought this latest scam hook, line, and sinker?
Well, I think there are two groups we should really distinguish. So one, right, there's people who put money into his crypto exchange, which in many cases are relatively small retail investors.
Yes. That's
not really the group of people that I wrote about, right? That's just the people, they see a bubble, they try to ride it, they lose some money, whatever.
Right.
It's unfortunate, but that happens. I think the Bankman-Fried case stands apart because he got very good press, tons of attention from politicians, and now, as you mentioned, there's a Michael Lewis book that's basically a geography. It's super positive. It starts out with a chapter where he writes about Bankman-Fried, and throughout the entire chapter, Bankman-Fried is just behaving like a jackass. He doesn't show up to anything. When he's on calls, he's playing video games. And this is all framed as, oh, well, look at how special he is. And so, the book kind of goes on like that. And then at the end of the book, the real villain is revealed, which is, how they put that guy who managed Enron after bankruptcy in charge of FTX to try to get some of the money back. Well, that guy is portrayed as the real villain because he's not listening to Bankman-Fried enough about where the money is. Anyway, the book is incredible. And so, I try to explain a little bit why, people like Michael Lewis or other commentators, thinkers were so attracted to Bankman-Fried and his whole operation.
Well, right, because he had Tom Brady and Giselle on board. I mean, what's cooler than that?
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, well, that one is easy to explain. That's just writing him large checks. I don't think that one requires much more than that.
But didn't a lot of Hollywood stars invest with him in cryptocurrency?
Well, it's a mix of investing with him and just taking his money to do ads, right? I don't know that exactly you doing an ad means investing. I'm thinking more about exactly people like Michael Lewis or, the politicians who hung out with him who are really attracted to something else you guys mentioned, which is effective altruism.
Well, yeah. the politicians, they were getting checks too, a lot of them on the Democrat side.
That's right. I was thinking more like, like Tony Blair or Bill Clinton, right? They weren't getting campaign donations anymore, the older statesmen.
Pillage. So that's why, because they effective altruism. Oh, finally, somebody who's so selfless that he's giving up meat because he doesn't want to contribute to animal suffering and so on and so forth. There's all this sentimentality that ushers in the barbarism, and they're on board for that.
That's right, and it has a thin veneer of moral philosophy, right? It's not just saying I'm vegan. It's no. I'm coming up with this complicated scheme. I'm going to make a lot of money, and then I'm going to use that money not, for my own purposes, but to address the long-term existential risks caused by artificial intelligence. Right? That kind of scheme, and I think that was attractive to people. Then Bankman-Fried comes from this, sort of elite academic family, and a number of folks at FTX did as well, and so I think that also gave him sort of a layer of credibility that he wouldn't have had otherwise, and I think that explains some of the coverage, which to this day remains surprisingly positive for really one of the great fraudsters in history.
Well, how did he get away with this for so long? Was it because he was contributing to Democratic candidates?
No, he didn't. To be clear, he didn't get away with it for that long, right? The big run-up is in 21, and then he's already been sentenced. That's not normally how the justice system operates. So, in fairness, he didn't get away with it for that long. He got away with it on a massive scale, and to this day, I think the press coverage is reasonably positive. The way he got away with it while the scheme was running was the way people get away with Ponzi schemes, right? As long as there's enough money coming in, new money coming in, and as long as people don't realize that your accounting is all fake, you can just keep running the scheme. But Madoff got away with it for much longer.
Oh, yeah. Well, because it was a much more sort of stable environment in which he was operating, and people not pulling their money because of the stable 12, 15% returns, over time. I mean, it's just a completely different dynamic as opposed to sort of the Wild West with crypto. But I love some of the comments, too, just this idea like he's one of us, which you were getting to. You mentioned Matt Iglesias, who's sort of a celebrated intellect of sorts on the left. Center left, but I would say left. He basically, his mom is one of these. His mom and dad at Stanford, and they're one of us. They're in this effective altruism. With they're simpatico with effective altruism, and these are our people kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. And so I do think that explains a good chunk of the coverage, because that movement has really become what I don't think you're being unfair about the sort of excessive parts of that movement, right? Which it started out on some level as kind of cost-benefit analysis, like is it better to build a sewage system or to give people malaria nets? Which that seems like a reasonable thing to think about. But now it's become all desensitizing about existential risks in the long-term future, and of course there, you get to write your hobby for, so it doesn't really matter, And it's become fairly detached from reality, I think, but still dressed up in these in these clothes of, look at us deep thinkers with moral philosophy, which is, and I think turned out here was not very productive. And of course, just last week we saw another example of the effective altruists, trying to get involved in some action when the CEO of OpenAI was, I don't know if you saw this, was
Sam
removed
Altman. Yeah.
by Sam Altman, exactly, by his board, dominated by effective altruists, because they had, figured out, okay, we need to stop this because artificial intelligence is so good now it's going to destroy the world, which really, to think that, to think you're able to make those kinds of forecasts with any kind of certainty requires a certain level of self-confidence that may not.
Self-confidence is a generous way to describe it. And they didn't really contemplate that the basically 90% of the employees would threaten to quit if they didn't reinstate Altman. So now the board's gone and the employees and Altman are back, which is a very interesting development too. At some point, hard-headedness has to kick in. But usually there's some casualties when you're talking about these elites. Part of it also seems to me is, just speaking of the hubris, which is just unmeasurable. We're smart people. I'm an actor. I'm an academic. I've made a bunch of money in one sector or another, so I know everything about everything. And this is the new cool thing. And these are our people. And so I'm in. That's the level of analysis.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, I don't know, I'm a big Tom Brady fan, but, I got to understand if he's going to show up in an ad if someone gives him enough money. That's fine. Whatever. He's a football player. I agree with you that when you're portraying yourself as really a true expert and, deep thinker, that's where the standard should really be quite different. And I agree with you that behavior has been pretty bad. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, one good thing about the Bankman-Fried case is there have been consequences for people, which of course is not always the case, right? Bankman-Fried is presumably going to federal prison for a long time. His parents, who allegedly benefited financially from FTX quite substantially, despite their background in moral philosophy, I believe they are approaching financial dire straits. And so, at least in this case, hopefully it creates incentives that let people reconsider their behavior and their self-image in the future. Yeah.
But these same people, I will bet you
dollars.
Hope.
One can always hope.
I'll bet you dollars to donuts, though, these same people will be unchastened and fully on board for the next iteration of Tulip Mania. I would bet you dollars to donuts on that. But anyway, Stan Voiger, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, his piece, Why Did America's Elite Keep Falling for Crypto Frauds, over at foreignpolicy.com. Stan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
All right. Are you doing it? Are you doing something good? Are you being proactive with your own health? Because that's pretty much what we can control, is what we put in our bodies. And did you have enough fruits and vegetables last night? Well, if not, try Balance of Nature. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real nutrition. They take the fruits and veggies and turn them into capsules by turning them into powder after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. Get the nutrition your body needs. Get Balance of Nature. And we have a new promo code. Listen up. The new promo code is KLG. That's KLG. So call 800-246-8751. Use discount code KLG. Or simply go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code KLG.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I want to tell you that Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift for someone you love. I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews. I love that they're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Well, Roland's Jewelers has a large selection of both mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? Listen, I've been a customer of Roland's Jewelers for a long time. You should too. They're so impressive. Their staff is expertly trained. I encourage you to visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust this holiday, just like I do.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
If you're interested in learning about reverse mortgages, call Team Hochberg. Their assets you manage? Then you need to call Team Hochberg or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners understand the benefits of reverse mortgages, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. 855-563-2843 to unlock your home's equity or purchase a new home with a reverse mortgage. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 112461.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on...
coming up on...
is you.
Chicago's Morning Answers, this segment. Yeah, we've been attempting to get to this this week. We finally are here. We finally have climaxed with this segment. This is a story actually from a couple of years ago, but the police cam video
just came out.
Is recent, and this was an incident at Tybee Island Beach in Georgia from 2021, where police were called to respond to dubious activity on the beach by a woman, and this is how that went.
There was nobody. I was just sitting on my towel. Nobody was around me.
Okay, and you were over at the beach?
Like I was near the water.
Near the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I do?
So apparently you were masturbating on the beach.
Oh boy.
Who saw that?
Me?
I mean, a couple people.
No, they didn't. That's not true.
Why would they call us that?
Nobody was around. Was it an anonymous call? Is this one of my buddies? Okay, one of my buddies.
No, it's not one of your buddies. It's a family.
Okay, look. Let me show you what I did.
Oh no! Don't tell me.
Please,
girlfriend.
Anything in the bag?
Girlfriend, get off the ground.
No.
Is it right if I look through it? I mean, if you can open it, and can I see the contents inside the bag?
Yes. Okay. I don't really understand what y'all...
We're just here because someone called and we're very concerned. Okay.
This is really highly offensive to me.
I got it. I got you. And that's why I'm trying to figure it out.
It's my vibrator, but I just put it in my... I was sitting on the beach, and I just... Okay, do I get a ticket?
So you did have a vibrator.
Listen, I was sitting on the water like this, and I just put it in there, and it was covered up, and I just had an orgasm. I'm sorry, I was stressed out.
I got you. Okay, just hang tight for me.
I'm sorry. Nobody saw me. I was in the water.
Stress relief.
This is another.
Love it.
I mean, if nobody saw them, they wouldn't have called, right?
If nobody saw it. Man, please don't do this to me. Are you serious?
Here come the tears.
A family saw it. They had kids.
What? There was nobody around me.
So. It's a bullet style. That's what they call
It's a pocket rocket, dude.
Oh, Jesus. Knows you going through it. You logging everything.
My favorite part was the 275-pound cop who holding the vibrator in his hand, describing what it is to a female cop who you heard giggle at the end. But, I understand. It's a very controversial issue because, masturbation is a victimless crime.
Oh, well, here's the deal. I'm glad she got arrested because when we're talking about gender equality, I mean, if a man was doing that, he'd be arrested. So
unless it was like a masturbating amenable beach. We have nude beaches. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, girlfriend, don't get down on the ground and show them what you did. Oh, dear Lord. But
I
also,
was just
thinking,
doing this. Yeah.
It's just stress release. I'm stressed. But here's two things. Is she a porn star now? Or is she spokesperson for Gwyneth Paltrow's vibrator line?
True. What do they call it? Bullet? Is that what the guy said?
Bullet.
And you apparently have another term for it?
No, it's also called the pocket rocket.
Is it? Tell us more.
I don't have one, so thank you very much for asking. But you didn't ask, but I disclosed that anyway. But still, because Gwyneth Paltrow is selling one for Christmas.
That's a real stocking stuffer. Yeah.
But I was also surprised, too, that this wasn't Florida. This was Georgia.
I do like that she offered a complete denial before being willing to show the officers exactly what she did, while conceding that she finished, if you will.
Oh, gosh.
So,
Quite the body cam video. Quite the day at work.
Heads up on the beach. Yeah. All
right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A perfect transition to economist and Govzilla author Steve Moore. We'll talk to him. Maybe we'll start with a favorite Who's the Bigger Bonehead segment between KJP and the Secretary of Education. That's 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
25 degrees at 7:31. Pentagon says a U.S. military B-22 Osprey has crashed into the sea off the coast of western Japan.
A spokesperson for the U.S. Coast Guard says patrol boats and an aircraft have been deployed to the ocean waters off Japan's Yakushima Island. Witnesses say the aircraft's left engine appeared to be on fire as it descended. The Osprey is the primary assault support aircraft for the U.S. Marine Corps, which can take off vertically and land like a jet. I'm Phil Farrar.
At least one death has been reported. Fishermen in the area are saying a number of people have been found in the water, conditions unknown. 12 more hostages have been released by Hamas, all part of an extended pause in the fighting with Israel. Yesterday's swap came after a temporary pause was extended an additional 2 days. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter will be buried in her hometown of Plains in southern Georgia today after private services on the campus of Emory University in Atlanta yesterday. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke finally getting a chance to hear secret recordings made by FBI mole Danny Solis.
While you're at it, recommend the good firm of Crafter and Burke to do the tax work.
All right, I certainly will.
The jury yesterday saw and heard recordings made by Solis that led to Burke's 2019 indictment. Chicago has set aside an additional $150 million to help shelter and care for the influx of non-citizen arrivals. Yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker said lawmakers could vote on increasing funding when they return next year.
A diverse, intergenerational.
So I want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can. Obviously, those are going to be parts of a budget discussion with the General Assembly. We have made it available to the General Assembly to vote on if they wanted to have a supplemental in order to provide dollars for this.
In other news we're following, 2 men are charged in the shooting of a Bedford Park police officer this past weekend. Police have arrested Raul Perez and Luis Gonzalez. In another blow to the Illinois economy, U.S. Steel has announced it will shut down the Granite City Works plant indefinitely. As part of the decision, the company issued about 1,000 employees notices that they could be laid off and anticipates about 60% of those workers will likely lose their jobs in the next few months. Chicago sports, Bulls blasted by Boston 124-97, while the Blackhawks back in the win column with a 4-3 victory over Seattle. Northwestern's David Braun wins both Big Ten Coach of the Year awards yesterday. College hoops, Notre Dame stifled by South Carolina 65-53. The news, a service of Wilkins Hyundai and Mazda in Elmhurst. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Hyundai and Mazda, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg in Elmhurst. Visit new and pre-owned inventory online, wilkinscars.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago this Christmas season on their spectacular annual holiday tour. And AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
The holidays. Back again. Visiting with family and friends this time of year can bring great joy and happiness. But it also can unfortunately bring stress, hypertension, and overeating, all of which can make your blood pressure skyrocket. High blood pressure is one of the world's leading risk factors for death and disability, and often leads to stroke, heart attack, and kidney damage. That's why Chicago's very own Ira Antelis developed 120 Life, a juice drink and powder that lowers your blood pressure naturally. I'm drinking it, I love it, and it works like a charm for me. And for those with diabetes, the powdered form of 120 Life has just 1 gram of sugar. If you suffer from high blood pressure around the holidays or whenever, give 120 Life a try. It's a fantastic alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. Order today at 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY at checkout. Save 15%. From all of us at 560 AM, my friends at 120 Life, have a wonderful holiday season, and please don't overeat.
Brace yourself for the ultimate holiday deal with Consumer Cellular. Snag an incredible 50% off the Iris Flip when you buy before December 17th, making it only $34.50. The Iris Flip is all the phone and camera you need with a user-friendly design, the perfect flip phone companion. Plus, you'll get nationwide coverage and always free activation. Score 50% off when you use promo code RADIO50. Head over to consumercellular.com and use promo code RADIO50 during checkout to score this deal.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
7:37. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Kennedy. Inbound between Montrose and Addison, report of an accident with a left lane blocked. It's an hour from the junction on in to the Burn Circle interchange. And right now it is an hour and 40 minutes inbound from O'Hare all the way in to downtown. On the Ike, rollover accident, 2 right lanes blocked inbound between Manheim and 17th. Right now, it's an hour 18 from 390 into the old post office. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny this morning, not as cold by the afternoon. Top out at 40, clear to partly cloudy, and there will be fog overnight with a low of 32. Currently 25 at O'Hare and 26 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the other day, Miguel Cardona, who is the Secretary of the Department of Education, was trying to communicate how the Department of Education, Federal Department of Education, is there to be a partner with state governments, and he had this to say, try to drive the point home.
You know, we're going to set up follow-up calls with every governor we met with to make sure we're available. As I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help. There are resources there, there's technical assistance there, and there's a playbook that could support the work you're doing. Count on us as a partner in this. Our students are waiting. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
So, of course, Reagan said the 9 most dangerous words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. He was deriding the government, not extolling it as Cardona did there. But
right, but I mean, this guy's in charge of he's making sure our kids get a quality education, and he doesn't even know what Ronald Reagan said. I mean, the whole point of Ronald Reagan's point was limited government. And he's like, oh, no, government's good. Come in.
So
he's a Mimbo.
Bit of a reading comp problem with their Secretary of Education. Bigger boneheads, Cardona or KJP, the White House spokeshuman, who had this to say about the economy in question from Peter Ducey.
Wow, she sings.
Not that. That was not KJP. No, you're getting hacked. KJP in response to a question from Peter Ducey about if things are going so well, why don't the American people
dealt with COVID and the pandemic? Because they didn't have a comprehensive plan. The president came in, he passed the American Rescue Plan, which was able to get the economy back on its feet, which was able to open up small businesses were able to open up, schools were able to open up, and we understand what Americans have been.
Mm-hmm. Javier Milei is apparently coming to town to meet with Biden staff. Gosh, I would love to be a fly on the wall for a discussion on economic policy between KJP and the newly minted Argentinian president. It's just so entertaining. Point of order, of course, is the policies that I opposed, for example, lockdowns, that were initiated by state governments under President Trump, and he bears some responsibility for it because he didn't push back as hard as he should have on said policies.
Yep.
But those policies were glorified and were given full-throated support from Biden and the entire Democrat Socialist Party, who of course wanted anything that was command control oriented to be enacted. But again, these are, points of order that the left attempts to gloss over. For more on all this and more, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, Govzilla author and economist. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, good morning, guys. And look, I feel compelled to respond to KJP because what she said was so blatantly false, and it's insulting, actually, because if you look at the last 6 months that Trump was in office, he didn't hand over a disaster. The economy grew by 11% in the last 6 months because we opened up the economy by June of 2020, and the economy was roared back. In fact, we had very, very high growth. We had people going back on the job, and we had the vaccine that had come out. Now, here's an amazing statistic, and I bet I didn't believe this when I was told this a couple days ago, so I went back and looked the statistics, and it absolutely is true. Did you guys know that more people died of COVID under Biden than under Trump?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty amazing thing, given the fact that we had the vaccine and so on. So how dare he say, "Oh gosh, I handled I handled the virus so well," and he was incompetent? No, we had the economy roaring, and the economy slowed down. The economy slowed down rapidly when Biden came in with his massive trillions of dollars of spending. So it just is absolutely untrue that we handed off a economy that was in ruins. He ruined it with the $6 trillion of spending we couldn't afford.
He's doing similarly with the auto industry. That's according to 3,900 car dealers across the country who sent a letter yesterday saying EVs are piling up unsold on their lots, and we'd like some relief from the mandate. The dealers have say they have a 103-day supply of EVs compared to 56 days for all cars, and the mandates are negatively impacting their business because consumer demand isn't what imagine that the central planners anticipated.
Yeah, so I gave a talk, I think it was about 10 days ago, to the Auto Dealers Association. These are the people who actually have the cars in the showrooms and on the lots. And I say 80% of the men and women who are running these, they've got thousands and thousands of cars on their lots. They all came up to me and said, "We can't get rid of the EVs. People aren't buying them." And the factories keep sending them cars that people don't want to buy. And by the way, I'm not against EVs. Teslas are amazing cars. You put your foot on the accelerator, it's an amazing feeling. But for a lot of reason, Americans don't want to buy them. And so you basically got a situation now. I mean, think about this. First of all, we've given billions and billions of dollars of federal tax dollars to the car companies to build the EVs, right, and all the loan programs. Then we pay people, we bribe people with a $7,500 check if they will buy a Tesla or an EV. Then many states, I don't know if Illinois has one of these, but many states also have incentive plans that kick in another $2,500 to $5,000. So they're basically paying you $10,000 to buy the car. Then, if you notice this, Amy, if you go to like a shopping mall or something, all the best parking spaces are for the EVs, because you're environmentally conscious, so you get to park in the first row. So
I park there anyway. I do. I'm like, what are they going to ticket me? I don't have a hybrid. How do they know that?
They're going to tell you. They're coming after you, Amy. But anyway, my point is, all these incentives, we're just throwing money at them, and people still aren't buying these cars. Less than 10% of new car sales are electric vehicles. Meanwhile, New Jersey, I don't know if it's happened in Illinois yet, New Jersey is now a state like California that's basically going to say, hey, after 2028 or something like that, it's going to be illegal to buy a car unless it's an EV. I don't know.
Well, that's going to happen in all blue states, I'm sure, eventually, especially since you're saying that they're piling up on the lots. I mean, they have to push their product at some point in time.
That's the other point. Thank you, Amy. You're exactly right. So now what's happening, they're already losing like $20,000 per EV that they're selling. And now they have to lower the price because, if you've got a surplus or something, the only way you can get them on a lot is, these car companies are going to take a massive, massive loss. And you know what's coming next, right? Dan, what's next? Oh, yeah, we have to bail out these companies because they're losing so much money.
Oh, and or force consumers to buy EVs by making those the only option.
Yeah, well, of course. And that's why, pretty soon, hold on to your gas cars, folks. Even if it has 100,000 miles, to me, very valuable because, those are the only ones you'll be able to buy. Like, whatever happened to pro-choice? Amy, I thought the left believed in pro-choice, freedom to choose. But you don't have a freedom to choose what car you buy?
Not with vaccine mandates or with vehicles. Hey, you said something the other day on Fox News. I watched you about, we have student loan debt forgiveness plans. What about a credit card debt forgiveness plan? Because I smell a 2024 election coming up.
Yes, I got a lot of reaction when I said that. And people, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Dan, you know me for a long time. But I do have a conspiracy theory that I think could well be the truth, which is we're going to get about 2 months before the election, like 8 months from now or so. And all of a sudden, Joe Biden is going to say, hey, I've got a deal for you. If you reelect me, I am going to forgive $1 trillion of your credit card debt, and the taxpayers will pay for it. Now, you may say that's a crazy idea, but he did it with student loans.
I mean, I wouldn't put anything past him. I mean, that's possible. But if he wants to promote that idea, go ahead. I mean, I don't think the student loan idea is a game changer to their benefit, and I think there's still actually a lot
I don't know. Dan,
I think there's still a lot of commonsensical people at least in states that have not completely lost their minds that say, that understand the game that's being played there.
Yeah, but
and
the
arbitrary nature of it.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right about that Americans are on the scam. But I know a lot of young people I'm for the Democrats. They're going to wipe out, $4,000 of my student loan debt.
Yeah, I hear
free money, Dan. It's free. They all have to
It'll
do
get
it
them to the polling place.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And here's the good news: is that the young people that we obsess about so much don't decide elections. So let's keep that proportionality in mind. But on this EV matter and the whole eco-supremacy end of times business. We have this COP28 conference kicking off in Dubai, United, and this is after. And I just love this too. I mean, talk about some people who know how to manipulate the white leftists of the West. A lot of these Arab theocrats. So the United Arab Emirates announced this spring they plan huge oil and gas expansion in advance of being the host of the COP28 conference right now. Yeah, right. I mean, and by the way, the biggest polluter on the planet, of course, China is not going this year because they're too busy building coal plants. Meanwhile, they're going to have
Meanwhile, they don't have enough airports for all the private planes that are flying in. I mean, this is a joke. And by the way, what number is this? 28? And we've had 28 of these climate change conferences. And by the way, there's more carbon being, emitted into the atmosphere. And, in 2023, the consumption of oil, gas, and coal and fossil fuels will be higher than any time in human history. Are they making one bit of difference?
Right. Well, the answer is what we know from the science. Not that anybody cares about it with respect on the left with respect to their religion here, but I think we all know the answer to that in terms of any evidentiary support. Oh boy, now we've upset the dog.
The dogs are barking.
Yeah, even my dog agrees with you on that one.
That's good. It's unanimous.
These guys, all they do is sit around the table, drink champagne, and eat caviar and lobster, and talk about how concerned they are about the planet. And they've been doing that 28 times now.
And they take pictures for social media too. Come on.
Yeah, well, who doesn't want a picture with Leo DiCaprio? Of course.
Oh, although I do think, didn't Greta take a sailboat or something? $25 because you can't get a Subway sandwich anywhere. You can't. You have to. What you have to do is you have to take a bun. You have to cook a bun, and then you have to slap meat on it and slap some cheese on it and maybe some mayonnaise. And only Subway and what's the other one? Jimmy John's. They're the only ones who can really do that. They're going to have a complete monopoly over that industry.
Right. Well, so this is why the Federal Trade Commission should investigate, should stop this unholy alliance.
maybe,
too much power.
Maybe the three of us should maybe try to start a sandwich shop. We can compete with them,
Yeah.
What the heck will we call it?
I don't want to have to work that hard. I'd rather just have this cush radio gig. We're running a sandwich shop or any small business. That's too hard. Steve Moore, economist, GovZilla author. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Have a great week. Take care.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You may have heard me on the radio sharing information about taxes, the IRS, or some other legal topic. Over these many years, I've learned quite a lot about helping business owners. It's pretty complicated out there. Business owners must always be learning just to keep up. So I've put together an email newsletter where I share information with business owners for free. That's right, no charge. All you have to do is go to radiotaxman.com and provide your email address. That's it. You may wonder why I would do that. Well, I know business owners are going to need help now and again. Tax returns, IRS trouble, business structuring, tax planning, and a whole lot more. I also know that if I share accurate, important information with you, information you can trust, you may give me an opportunity to help you. That's it. You don't have to ask for my help, but I want to offer it to you. Pretty simple. Go to radiotaxman.com right now and sign up for my email newsletter. That's radiotaxman.com. It's free. Together we can fight back now.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping. And our
Ann and Amy, good letter in the Wall Street Journal in response to Senator Krakajuia's concern about a forthcoming sandwich shop monopoly. Very, very creative. The author writes, "Baloney. It appears the senator has bitten off more than she can chew. Let us take a look at why the good senator wants to flog this turkey. At first glance, it appears she just wants to ham it up for the sake of PR. I suggest her argument slices both ways. She gets PR, but is it good PR? Peel away the onion, and what you have is nothing more than grandstanding. Pepper her with salty comments, and she will wither. Her argument is a bit cheesy, and she clearly is in a pickle in her attempt to sandwich herself between righteous indignity and laughable rhetoric. Her time in the Senate would, one would think, be toast." Very, very nice. And hopefully at some point in the not too distant future, Krakajuia will be toast.
And somebody texted in, Dan and Amy, name your sandwich shop Dan and Amy's Sandwich Shop.
Okay.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, marijuana moms versus a mental health dad, who's also the McHenry County State's Attorney, Patrick Kennelly, joins us at 8:08.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The jury hears secret recordings from Danny Solis in the Ed Burke trial. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Will the ceasefire be extended again? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It expires today, so talks are ongoing to keep the war in Gaza on hold.
We'll remain focused on enabling the safe departure of American citizens and other foreign nationals from Gaza.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Hamas expected to free 10 more Israeli women and children today.
Former captives telling horror stories for weeks. There was little food and light, difficult sleeping and sanitary conditions. One young man told of beatings and being forced to watch torture videos. All told, some 60 Israeli women and children, plus others, have been released. It's believed another 160 remain held by Hamas and other groups.
As Fox's Greg.
Most recent fatal incident was just 3 months ago. 3 U.S. Marines were killed.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. We just got an update on the economy showing more growth last quarter than expected. The GDP increase revised up to 5.2% from 4.9% in the initial report. President Biden will go to Colorado today to focus on the economy amid low approval ratings on his handling of it. He'll also focus on clean energy, visiting the world's largest manufacturer of wind power towers. He's also giving some Americans a gift.
An email from the president is hitting the inboxes of more than 800,000 student loan borrowers, telling them their loans are forgiven because of actions taken by the administration. A plan to wipe away student debt for millions of Americans was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court, but the administration has implemented more targeted programs.
That's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
25 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke finally getting a chance to hear those secret recordings made by FBI mole and former fellow alderman Danny Solis.
While you're at it, recommend the good firm of Crafter and Burke to do the tax work.
All right, I certainly will.
The jury yesterday saw and heard the recordings made by Solis, which led to the Burke indictment in 2019. Mayor Johnson unveiling a plan to move a few migrants from police stations into area churches.
A diverse, intergenerational, interracial, interfaith coalition of communities coming together to help those in need.
Program will relocate some migrants into 17 area churches funded by $350,000 in private donations. Chicago sports. Bulls blasted by Boston 124-97. Blackhawks back in the win column with a 4-3 win over Seattle. Cody Bellinger and Liam Hendricks win comeback players of the year for the Cubs and the White Sox. Northwestern's David Braun wins both Big Ten Coach of the Year awards from the coaches and from the media. The news service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. 8:03. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Petco shares are plunging in the pre-market after the pet care products retailer reported a surprise fiscal third quarter loss and slashed its full-year outlook. The San Diego-based company says losses adjusted for one-time gains and costs came to 5 cents a share. Many analysts were expecting gains of 2 cents a share. Foot Locker seeing a run-up in the pre-market after it posted surprise earnings and sales beats, and said it saw strong results over Thanksgiving weekend. It also gave a more upbeat sales outlook. Bitcoin bouncing back to 19-month highs. It and other cryptocurrencies rallied on rising expectations. The Fed will cut interest rates early next year. The rally also coming on hopes that U.S. regulators will soon approve the first spot Bitcoin ETF. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
8:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
Hezbollah leader threatens escalation. You've been threatening. You know, they all threaten from Qatar. No, this is the one thing. And here in America, same thing. All of these old men.
For a lot of years, people still come up to me all the time and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
It is 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, 43 on the inbound Edens, Lake Cook Road into the junction. Due to an earlier accident inbound between Montrose and Addison, you have an hour and 40 minutes on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now, an hour and 8 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson in from the Tri.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Marijuana moms versus mental health dad. What that really is the McHenry County State's Attorney versus some dopey leftist legislators like Kelly Cassidy that are addled on marijuana business cash, campaign cash, I presume. The celebratory nature of widespread use of marijuana by some is bizarre to me.
I know. There's billboards up everywhere. It's, the drug of choice, please.
Peter Bach is a pulmonary physician at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. So he's a pretty serious person. He wrote a piece in the Journal a few years back that we referenced at the time, trying to bring some sanity to this conversation and some actual science and information about the costs and benefits amid all of the unrelenting celebration of the ushering in of legalizing weed and distributing licenses to the politically connected in Illinois and elsewhere. He writes, actual medicines have research behind them, enumerating their benefits. They're made in the Tribune coverage of the story, too, because shoddy reporting, which is synonymous with Chicago media. Claims that marijuana relieves pain may be true, but the clinical studies that have been done compare it with a placebo, not even a pain reliever like ibuprofen. That's not That's not the type of rigorous evaluation we pursue for medications. What's more, every intoxicant would pass that sort of test because you don't experience pain as acutely when you're high. If weed is a pain reliever, so is Budweiser. And that's just despite the fact that 140,000 Illinoisans have gotten curious prescriptions for marijuana to treat various conditions and ailments. He goes on to say, marijuana belongs in the same category as alcohol and tobacco, harmful products that adults can choose to enjoy. Interestingly, the liquor company Constellation Brands and tobacco conglomerate Altria Group agree. Both have recently acquired large stakes in marijuana producers. Decades passed before we took on smoking and drinking with education, labeling, and other forms of regulation, but it worked, and deaths from lung cancer, heart disease, and alcohol-associated accidents are in sharp decline. We need the same approach with marijuana. Acknowledging that it is not a medicine is a necessary first step. So that's one of the biggest problems with this discussion is people like the quote-unquote marijuana moms at bar in this fight between McHenry County State's Attorney Patrick Kennelly and the Springfield legislators, labeling. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by the aforesaid McHenry County State's Attorney, Patrick Kennelly. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan and Amy, for having me on.
So you want, you're essentially compelling that marijuana retail stores in McHenry County post warnings about the mental health dangers associated with cannabis, as were just detailed actually in that op-ed from the doctor I mentioned. And they say that you're demagoguing marijuana and you're hearkening back to shibboleths of a bygone era that have sort of racist overtones. So, I mean, just give us your perspective on this this spat between you and those legislators.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you said in the lead up to our talk this morning is absolutely right. Marijuana has no medical applications, especially the cannabis that's being sold in these dispensaries. And the best that they can say is that it somehow treats these sort of nebulous and a lot of times dubious pain type of discomfort conditions. But as Dr. Bach says, it doesn't treat it any better than, let's say, Budweiser, because all it's doing is it's a huge dopamine dump right in your brain. And of course, when you're high on something, it's not going to hurt as bad. So following up on what Dr. Bach said, in 2023, there was a JAMA article, and it was a meta-analysis and systematic review, which is the gold standard of scientific literature. And it found that there is no difference between cannabis in terms of how it treats pain and the placebo, and it found that the more that patients had read about the medicinal qualities of marijuana who were given the placebo, the more their pain was actually reduced. So this is all a mental phenomenon, and what the marijuana moms has said, especially in their letter to me, is, well, we've had all of these experiences for many of our constituents who have come in and talked to me and us about how well it has helped them with their pain conditions like fibromyalgia and IBS and things like that. I point to this study and I say, look, it's probably true that these people are telling you the truth. It does help with their pain. The problem is it doesn't help any more than a placebo. So what's going on right now with the marijuana moms, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, is that this is just such an anti-scientific discussion that's going on. Irrespective of what you think about legalization, marijuana has significant downsides, and the marijuana industry's attempt to rebrand this as medicine so that it's not just popular among a subculture in the United States, but rather is popular amongst everybody and is fit for all-day consumption is really what the problem is. It's the lies that the marijuana industry is telling us through the mouthpieces of the Illinois legislature.
But there's got to be lots of money to be made. I mean, if state reps, are celebrating this, and also you have the tobacco and the alcohol industry buying or trying to get into also grow and sell marijuana.
It's a billions and billions of dollar industry. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars was made by the state last year. The county of McHenry has made millions of dollars off of marijuana. So, of course, it's an incredibly lucrative business, and that's why we're tolerating much of this misinformation. The difference between, let's say, marijuana and alcohol is everybody knows that alcohol is dangerous, and people at Budweiser are not advertising their products to say this particular type of alcohol with this alcohol percentage is good for PTSD or is good for depression.
Well, and that's the thing that's so curious about this, too, how knee-jerk the reaction is, how defensive they are, because, I mean, you don't have the power to ban it unilaterally, and you're not attempting to. You're attempting to require the labeling, the warning labeling that usually goes without much fanfare when it comes to other toxins, smoking and drinking, for example, alcohol and tobacco. But here they're just so rabid that they go immediately to an argument that you're essentially trying to prohibit it because you're requiring labeling that adds some transparency to the project.
Yeah,
Product,
yes, no, thank you. The labeling that we're asking for is the most anodyne type of labeling that you could possibly ask for. It's basic information that's been recognized by all sorts of scientific institutions, including the Surgeon General, the National Academy of Sciences, the NIH. So it's basically that there is a link between marijuana and certain mental health disorders. The more you use and the younger you start, the worse the risk is, and the mental health dangers are psychosis or schizophrenia, anxiety, as well as depression. And then it's that the FDA has not approved cannabis as it's sold in the store to treat any medical condition. Both of those things are unassailably true. And so the fact that, like you said, they're being so defensive and they're being so combative over what is basic consumer protection on the part of the McHenry County State's Attorney's Office is bizarre.
Have you had cases that have come before you in the State's Attorney's Office where you're prosecuting people that are arguing that perhaps their defense is in part, because I've seen these cases, cannabis-induced psychosis is why I committed this criminal act?
So we've had multiple cases. Well, first of all, the mental health in McHenry County has begun deteriorating significantly since 2020. So cases of anxiety, depression, our suicides have actually doubled in 2022. The most common drug found, David Spade told him through the radio after he had been smoking cannabis all night that he needs to veer into oncoming traffic at 80 miles an hour. He ends up killing the driver of the car, and the passenger who was a father of two. The passenger of the car is probably never going to leave the nursing home because of serious traumatic brain injury as well as bodily injury that he suffered. So this is not an academic discussion. There's real consequences, not only in terms of mental health, but also in terms of driving under the influence of cannabis. My first assistant, who was the number 2 in the office, was hit head-on with her 3-year-old son in the back of a car by 2 stone drivers and almost killed. So this is a personal issue for us.
Well,
right. So it's
the PR thing for. Oh.
Well, but I just want to. So that's not causation necessarily whether in the suicides or the reckless homicide, but there's correlation, and certainly there is impairment, like in the case of your first assistant being hit by that driver that was stoned. So I mean, again, why wouldn't we treat this the same way at minimum that we treat driving under the influence of alcohol?
Right, and when it comes to the correlation, this is their favorite tactic. It's like, well, it's just correlation, and people are treating themselves. It's like, well, first of all, no. The only reason we know that tobacco causes lung cancer is because there's a correlation between people that smoke and lung cancer to a degree that we can say that it's causal. It's the same with marijuana. There was a recent huge study out of Denmark where they looked at all of the medical records in their national system over the last 30 years, and this is a study that the industry, which is trying to get people to smoke cannabis all day, every single day, in microdoses and otherwise, to get energy, to sleep, to get up for work, to get creative, all the rest of it, and think about what that's going to do to our mental health. And the fact that the state of Illinois is not taking this more seriously because they're worried about a little guy in McHenry County killing the golden goose is insane.
Well, where's Matt in all this? Mothers Against Drunk Driving?
I have not had a discussion with them about this.
I mean, I just feel like there should be, because there's always a big push, PR push, like don't drive drunk, get caught, blah, blah, blah. But there's nothing for driving impaired.
No, well, I don't know how much time we have, but that's another major problem with driving with cannabis legalization, and they knew it. So cannabis is hydrophobic, which means that it hates water. And what that means is that most of the THC after you smoke cannabis is out of your blood within a half hour. So the way that so if you're driving under the influence of alcohol, let's say, there's a correlation between the amount of alcohol that you drank and your intoxication. It's not the same with cannabis. There's not a correlation between the amount of THC in your blood and your level of intoxication. So if I, let's say, leave the state's attorney's office today drunk, drunk because I've been drinking scotch in my office, and I kill a family of 5, they take me to the hospital and they draw my blood. They know what my blood alcohol concentration level is, and that's what they can use to prosecute me. If I've been smoking cannabis all day and I leave and I kill a family of 5, it's probably 2 hours before they take my blood. There's nothing in there. Police haven't had the opportunity to do field sobriety tests on me, which don't necessarily even work with regard to cannabis intoxication. And so then the family will come to the state's attorney's office and say, hey, what are we going to use to prosecute this person with? And I'm going to say, we're not going to have any evidence.
Well, and the other thing, too, on this, we've talked to Alex Barrington, who's done a lot of research in this, wrote a book about it, and others that are in this policy arena. And one of the other points that's made often, so we'll make it again, is that the cannabis that's being sold now, the THC levels are 20x what they were, when your mom and dad were smoking a joint at Woodstock. And so, so just in terms of the intensity of the product, the toxicity of the product, it is not what perhaps a lot of older people think of when they think of marijuana.
No, this is not your mom and dad's marijuana. They've been breeding and hybridizing these strains to increase the THC concentration up to about 30%. The stuff that was available to me and my friends when we were in high school and college was about 6 to 7%. And what all the studies show is that the younger you start and or the higher concentration of cannabis that you use, the greater the risk in terms of mental health dangers. So
where does this spat between you and those Dem legislators go?
I don't know. I mean, I don't take any of this stuff personally. At least I try not to. I've lived in this state my whole life. I've already accepted. I have sort of a fatalistic view on the prospects for the politics in Illinois. But what I hope it does is that it raises awareness. But it raises awareness not only with regard to marijuana, but also how these laws are passed and who benefits from it. So Tori Hutchinson. So the cannabis was passed because the Marijuana Policy Institute in D.C. Joby Cates, J.B. Pritzker's sister, is on the board. They go to these Illinois legislatures, the marijuana mom in Illinois, and they say, hey, will you guys run our national interests in Illinois? And they're just tickled pink by the fact that they've been selected by this high-powered D.C. firm to run their legislation through Illinois, which they do. They pass cannabis in one day. I mean, that's not enough debate. They didn't bring doctors in to have hearings and all the rest of it. They just pass it in one day. And then this is what they said at the press conference. They said that Chris Lindsay from the Marijuana Policy Project wrote the bill, gave it to us, and then we passed it. Tori Hutchinson, who's one of the marijuana moms, is now the president and CEO of the Marijuana Policy Project. $630,000 was spent in Illinois. The marijuana moms benefit.
Story about Tori Hutchinson when she recognized me at a club. She came up and introduced herself as State Senator Tori Hutchinson. Oh my God! So I introduced myself as radio talk show host Dan Prout. Because that's how we all introduce ourselves as our title.
Right, exactly.
It gives you the mentality.
That's like a doctor insisting that's like a chiropractor, I should say, insisting that you call him doctor.
Patrick Kennelly is the McHenry County State's Attorney. Patrick, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Really do appreciate you, and he joins us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
All right, during the holiday season, it's often a good thing to help others who are less fortunate. And that's why, once again, we have teamed up with Food for the Poor. The campaign is well underway. We had Giving Tuesday, which was very nice, but we're still a long, long way from our goal to feed kids in Latin America and the Caribbean. Can you imagine waking up and all you're worried about is which child you're going to feed today, where you're going to get that food? Well, Food for the Poor is a faith-based nonprofit relief organization. They work directly with the partners on the ground in Latin America and in the Caribbean at feeding centers that they operate throughout the area. And it's effective. I've worked at one of those feeding centers. I've seen people walk for miles to come and just get a bucket of rice and a bucket of beans. We're asking for a gift of $80, but whatever you can give would be much appreciated. But with $80, you can feed 2 children for 1 year. For a gift of $320, guess what? You could feed 8 children for 1 year. That's the impact your gift can have. So to make a gift of any amount, call 844-862-4673. Again, that's 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
And we've gotten a lot of feedback from listeners about Food for the Poor. Just a few examples. Rebecca in Palatine donated. I completely trust Dan and Amy to vet this organization, and therefore I'm happy to contribute to Food for the Poor. Thank you, Rebecca. Steve in Knoxville, Tennessee. Love Dan and Amy. Love Food for the Poor. Simple as that. Pam in Winter Springs, Florida, because I can't imagine what it feels like for a mother to be unable to feed her children. And many more. There's great sentiments. Appreciate our listeners and their sensibility and sensitivity, and, of course, support for Food for the Poor. One other way to donate, in addition to individually, is our Business Benefactor Program. This works thusly. You make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor from your business. And AM 560 will give you 40 1-minute commercials to run on our airwaves, prime broadcast hours between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. during the week. It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio, and at the same time that you're promoting your business and hopefully growing it, you'll be providing life-saving food for more than 65 children in Haiti for a year. To become a business benefactor, call our general sales manager. Her name is Anjanette. Her number, 847-472-8951. Again, that's Anjanette at 847-472-8951.
1-800-246-8751 or go to Balance of 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Are Jews politically homeless in America? We'll put that question to Harvard Law Emeritus Professor Alan Dershowitz at 8:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
25 degrees at 8:32. The Pentagon says a U.S. military V-22 Osprey has crashed into the sea off the coast of western Japan.
A spokesperson for the U.S. Coast Guard says patrol boats and an aircraft have been deployed to the ocean waters off Japan's Yakushima Island. Witnesses say the aircraft's left engine appeared to be on fire as it descended. The Osprey is the primary assault support aircraft for the U.S. Marine Corps, which can take off vertically and land like a jet. I'm Phil Farrar.
12 more hostages have been released by Hamas, part of a deal of an extended pause in Israel's war with the terror group. In exchange, 30 additional Palestinian detainees were released from Israeli prisons. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter will be buried in her hometown of Plains in southern Georgia today. The private service and burial follows a tribute service held yesterday on campus in Atlanta at Emory University. Jurors in the federal trial against former longtime Chicago Alderman Ed Burke finally getting a chance to hear secret recordings made by the FBI mole, former Alderman Danny Solis.
While you're at it, recommend the good firm of Crafter and Burke to do the tax work.
All right, I certainly will.
The jury yesterday saw and heard recordings made by Solis, which led to Burke's 2019 indictment. Mayor Johnson unveiling a plan to move some migrants from police stations into churches. The program relocates some migrants into 17 churches. The Reverend John Zayas pastors. College hoops, Notre Dame a loss against South Carolina. The Irish visit number 8 Miami on Saturday. Another college basketball action yesterday. Loyola beat Chicago State. Tonight, Bradley is at Murray State. The news, a service of Townstone Financial. Should you buy a new home? Can you afford it? Can you pay off credit cards using your home? Townstone.com has the answers, or call 312-896-2110. Nobody beats their rates. Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629. NMLS 136639. A check of traffic and weather's on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum sees a backwards investigation.
It to me seems like they're hunting and hoping to find something on Donald Trump because of political purposes. So that means that they are doing the investigation backwards. They are literally have a verdict in mind of a conviction, and they're trying to find all the evidence that they can to put him in that position.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7.
For Christian Worldview, call us now at 888-787-GOLD. Precious metals like gold and silver have been a safe haven investment for hundreds of years. And investors are diversifying their portfolios every month with physical gold and silver with Direct Bullion USA. Get started when you call Direct Bullion USA at 888-787-4653 and get your free gold investing starter kit today. All it takes is one call to 888-787-GOLD. Take control of your retirement and protect your future with Direct Bullion USA. Call 888-787-4653. That's 888-787-GOLD.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or 100 new pipe, or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, the Edens at 45 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy inbound, back down to around an hour from the junction into downtown and 90 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike-in, an hour and 18 from 390 into the old post office. The Stevenson right now at an hour, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 28 minutes on your inbound commute on the Dan Ryan 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Traffic at service of Boost Infinite and their new wireless technology, switching between networks, giving you the best service at a lower price. Switch today. Visit boostinfinite.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A mostly sunny day ahead, not as cold, and a high near 40. It's 25 right now. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. There have been some developments in the Biden Inc. inquiry, at least the inquiry being done by the House Oversight Committee, chaired by Jim Comer. Forthcoming testimony from both Jim, brother Jim, and son Hunter coming next month. Subpoenas issuing that would have Jim testify on December 6th and Hunter on December 13th. Republican representative from Michigan, Lisa McClain, was on with Maria Bartiromo yesterday to discuss this, what they're attempting to do and what they're still attempting to identify. One of those things, the linkage between money received and policy decisions made.
It's incredible what your committee has been able to expose. So much information about these 20 shell companies that Joe Biden set up and his family set up while he was vice president, the 176 suspicious activity reports, the witness testimony, of course, all indicating or suggesting that there could be some serious crime here like bribery or money laundering. Have you been able to identify any actual policy changes that Joe Biden made as a result of getting money from China?
The short answer is no. That under the last administration, where it was just a bunch of hearsay. That's why it's critical to have Hunter Biden come in and testify, James Biden come in and testify, and to get those classified documents, because that's what we need to connect the dots, and that's what he's doing.
Assessing that approach by the House Oversight Committee, we're pleased to have Professor Alan Dershowitz, Emeritus Professor of Law at Harvard. His podcast is The Dersh Show, and it can be found on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes. And he's got a new book coming later next month, right in time for the holidays, actually, December 15th. The book, War Against the Jews, How to End Hamas Barbarism. Professor Dershowitz, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
What's your assessment of what you heard from Representative McClain, what the House Oversight Committee is doing, and what approach they should take if they are able to get brother Jim and son Hunter before their committee?
This is a continuation of partisan weaponization by both sides of the criminal justice system. What we need is yet another special prosecutor, another independent counsel to investigate the entire Biden family. It should not be done only by partisan Republicans or partisan Democrats, because nobody is going to believe the results of a conclusion done by a committee loaded with Republicans who are out to get, Biden, etc. But it's a very good special counsel. And what I've suggested is this, that a group of distinguished former judges, academics, recommend to Garland 5 names of people who are totally nonpartisan to be a special counsel and to look into the president. And when you look into the president, the special counsel has to be above reproach. It can't be somebody who Garland picked from the Justice Department the way the previous special counsel were picked, insiders. It has to be an outsider, and there has to be a report. There's too many smoking guns to avoid appointing this kind of independent investigator, and there's too much partisanship to allow the investigation to be done only by the representatives of one party.
And what about the need? I mean, obviously, it would be nice if you could connect that dot, money taken and specific action taken as a result of money received. But is that necessary to make that connection in order to conclude that the Bidens, including possibly the president, did something that was improper, if not illegal?
No, it's not necessary. Obviously, it would help in the court of public opinion. All that's necessary is that money be paid with the intention, with the expectation that some favorable treatment be given. It doesn't matter whether the treatment was in fact given. Of course, if the treatment was given, then that's the best proof that it was intended. But again, I don't see the dots connected yet, but that's what special counsel is supposed to do. There is probable cause here. There's enough to worry about. I'm a liberal Democrat. I hope nothing comes of this. I want to see Biden reelected. That's my personal view. But I also want to make sure that when I cast my vote, I know everything possible about the Biden family and about any connections between Hunter Biden and his father and nefarious activities that may have occurred. Every American has the right to full knowledge of that.
Yep. Speaking of Hunter Biden, he said that he's only going to appear before the committee for a public hearing and not a deposition.
All hearings public unless they involve national security classified material, in which case those portions should be kept private, but only those portions.
Before we get to your book, a column in the Wall Street Journal by Joe Epstein, who we've had on the show many times, columnist and author, he says American Jews are politically homeless again. The a combination of the anti-Semitism that is, exists on the left in terms of the members of the Democrat caucus, like Tlaib and Omar, as well as what we're seeing in institutions controlled by the left, including your alma mater, Harvard, at least where you taught. But then there's Trump on the right, and somehow that's a bridge too far to consider, despite what you see happening within the Biden administration, and particularly in a policy sense, and within the larger institutions controlled by the left in America. You don't seem to feel that way. You still find a home with the Democrats.
No, I do feel that way. If Nikki Haley, for example, were to get the nomination of the Republican Party, I think a lot of Jews would be voting for her. I like Joe Biden. I plan to vote for him, but I don't like Jamie Raskin. I don't like Senator Sanders. I don't like the Squad. I don't like the hundreds of people within the Democratic administration who have called for unilateral ceasefire. There's an awful lot of anti-Israel attitudes within the left of the Democratic Party. One reason I remain a Democrat, although I support the Republican policies on Israel generally, one reason I remain a Democrat is to try to have influence and try to marginalize the Sanders. If you want to get me to be a Republican, it's very easy. Just nominate Sanders to be president, and I become a Republican that minute. So I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. I'm not as a policy. They actually call it the CNN policy. I call it the dead baby policy. It's very simple. They kill as many Jews as possible in Israel. They know that Israel will have to respond by going after the rockets, the tunnels, and the commanders. They hide these military things in among civilians. They know Israel will, no matter how much care they take, will kill some civilians, and they're ready to parade the babies in front of CNN and the New York Times, who misreport what's going on, who blame these dead babies on Israel rather than on the Hamas. I'll give you an example. If I go into a bank to rob a bank and the police come in and start shooting at me, and I take you as my hostage, and I'm shooting from behind you and I'm killing people, and the police aim at me, but they kill you by mistake, there isn't a legal system in the world that holds the policeman responsible for that killing. The hostage taker is responsible, just as Hamas is responsible for every single death of a human shield that takes place in Gaza. And the media just won't report that. If it bleeds, it leads. And so the dead babies are shown. Everybody sheds tears, as you should. And they blame it on Israel. And then Hamas wins. It wins the public relations war. And then just follow your shampoo. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Hamas has been doing this now for 25 years without any stop. And they're going to do it again and again and again, as long as the New York Times and CNN report only on the dead babies and not on the fact that it's all Hamas's responsibility.
Let's get back to Biden, though. You don't think President Biden has gone back on his promise to fully support Israel? I mean, he had a secret meeting at the White House with staffers who were upset with him and a group of Muslim Americans, and he apologized for excessive skepticism over the number of Palestinian deaths. No, he even said, "I'm sorry, I'm disappointed in myself." And you're still supporting him.
He was totally dead, completely wrong. The data about Hamas deaths are completely distorted. First of all, Hamas says that 15,000 people, suddenly the number jumped from 12, 15,000 people, but they themselves don't distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. For all we know, 10,000 of them could be combatants. And so, no, Biden should not have done that. In my how many years, 60 years of voting for presidents since John Kennedy, I have never voted for a president with whom I have agreed 100%. I think that in general, Biden has been pretty good on Israel. Do I wish he hadn't had that meeting? Yes. Do I wish he hadn't talked about a ceasefire? Do I wish he hadn't said that Israel shouldn't go into the South? Yeah, I wish all of those things. And I think Trump would be better on that issue.
Do you wish he would?
Yeah.
Well, do you wish he wasn't de facto underwriting the mullahs in Tehran with the lack of enforcement of oil sanctions, with cash for hostages?
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's the whole thing. With I mean, I don't think I'm going to persuade you, but I'm going to push you a little bit. I mean, Bernie Sanders just says overtly what the Biden administration is doing subtextually.
Yeah, but I believe in a woman's right to choose. I believe in gay rights. I believe in reasonable climate control, reasonable gun control, separation of church and state. a liberal, not a progressive, but a liberal Supreme Court. And so I incline to vote Democrat because the Republicans don't agree with those issues. If I were living in England, I'd vote Conservative because the British Conservative Party favors a woman's right to choose, favors gay rights, opposes capital punishment, does all the things, and they're the conservatives. I would vote for them in a minute. But in the United States, the Conservative Party has become too obsessed with social and religious issues. So I could vote for a Republican. As I said, I could vote for Nikki Haley. I might be able to vote for Chris Christie and for D. And I understand. Again, I don't get everything from any candidate. I could vote for DeSantis. I could vote for I have a lot of trouble with Trump, even though I represented him. I was his lawyer in front of the United States Senate, and I helped win his first impeachment case. But there are things about him which are difficult. For many Jews to vote for that speech he made in West Virginia or wherever it was. There are other things. The only thing a democracy could do, but it's wrong. I wish that every country in the world had said, I wrote it in the book in 1990 called Why Terrorism Works. I wish every country in the world had said, we will not negotiate with terrorists no matter what happens, no matter how many hostages they take. And that would reduce the number of hostages over time. But when people come crying to you, and you're the prime minister, about their family members, how do you resist that? So, again, compromise. Israel is doing something that hurts it. And every day of a pause means more Israeli soldiers will die because it means that Hamas strengthens its position. So I don't like the pause, and I certainly don't want to see a ceasefire. That would be a surrender. I hope that Israel can, do two things at the same time, which are very difficult. Get the hostages back and destroy Hamas. What Hamas did on that day was the most brutal thing done to the Jewish community and to individual Jews since the Holocaust. And yet, the National Lawyers Guild and other despicable, hard-left, anti-American organizations not only defended but praised Hamas the day after they slaughtered these people before Israel sent a single person into the Gaza Strip, and 33 Harvard groups did that. And they're Democrats. So, look, I hate those Democrats.
Well,
I wish I could make an easy choice.
Speaking of Harvard, given what Harvard has become, would you teach at Harvard if you had the opportunity today?
Yeah, I would, and I would state my views publicly. Look, I taught for 50 years there. I never stated my private views in a classroom. I don't believe that's appropriate. I think teachers have to teach the students how to think, not what to think. But I'd be standing up to the administration. I'd be protesting in front of the president's office. But I wouldn't be a cowardly professor like so many of them are. We have to treat them that way. And we have to make sure we respond in the marketplace of ideas. Harvard is being investigated now by the Department of Education. I have now publicly volunteered to testify against Harvard, the university with which I've been affiliated for 60 years. I started there in 1964. I'm still emeritus professor. I will testify against Harvard because I know all the inner secrets. I know everything that went on there. I know the whole history of anti-Semitism, and I know what's going on today, and it's wrong.
Professor Alan Dershowitz, Emeritus Professor of Law, Harvard. His podcast, The Dersh Show, can be found on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes. And pick up his latest book, released on December 15th, but of course you can pre-order it, War Against the Jews, How to End Hamas Barbarism. Professor Dershowitz, thank you as always.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
What if you lose 30%? You lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank.
We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks, of course, to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, producer extraordinaire. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Mayor Johnson unveils a plan to move some migrants into churches. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
More emotional family reunions will soon happen in Israel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. On day 6 of the ceasefire in Gaza,
Israel has a list of 12 hostages